My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. Jakey Boy and I are going to break down the entire UFC 306 fight card, 308. Off to a fantastic start. The UFC 308 fight card, giving you our picks, our predictions, our bets, and our DraftKings fantasy plays. But before we jump into this card, Jacob and I are going to be watching this at the Cosm in Dallas. I've gotten no fewer than 20 different DMs over the last couple of months of people who have been there, who have experienced it. So if you're going to be there for whatever reason, let us know. We'll be there. We'll be having some drinks. We'll be watching the fights. I'm looking forward to it. This is supposed to be like the Sphere, but instead of it being a venue, it's basically like a 5-story tall screen that wraps around you, and they have custom, they purchased the rights to custom camera angles that you don't see on the broadcast. So I'm looking forward to it. Jacob and I will be there. Casey will be there. So if you're there, say hi. And that's what we're doing this weekend, but you just came back from the Apex. Let us know how that went, and then we have some breaking news on some UFC employment, which may or may not be related to your Apex trip.
Yeah, and first of all, let's just kind of address this and get this out of the way. If you're paying attention right now, you might notice my voice is a little bit raspy, right? And we've been giving Angelo some pain, some brass, some whatever.
Angelo has AIDS. Angelo's dying. I think he choked on a ween. All sorts of interesting comments about my health situation when all I had was a sore throat. What's going on with you?
Well, you still have AIDS. My whole thing was I don't want people thinking that I have AIDS from you. Like that was my issue. We all know that you still have AIDS, and but I did not. I don't have a sore throat from contracting AIDS from Angelo. As Angelo mentioned, I was at the Apex, and guess what? I was loud. I was proud. I was in my own skin, feeling comfortable. Yeah. Yeah, I was comfortable in my own skin, in my own element, and I was yelling from literally the Austin Lane fight to the main event. So I did lose my voice. Sunday I could barely talk. It's getting better now, but I still, you're in Vegas, living the life. Don't feel great. So that's why my voice is like that. It has nothing to do with Angelo giving me AIDS. But the Apex experience was absolutely incredible. It's the second time I've been. I recommend it to anybody. I know it's kind of a tough, people hate the Apex. It's kind of a tough watch on TV. But when you're there, especially because they made the change where family members are there now. So there's 4 family members of each team sitting kind of right next to you, and they're always going crazy. I think that literally helps the whole energy of the Apex. I was yelling the entire time. I literally think that I won Melissa that fight because every time she landed a strike, we were all going, oh, whoa, because we were all rooting for Melissa. And I thought she dominated that fight. The live odds are minus 700. I'm in the third round for Alice, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? I honestly think we might have won Melissa that fight. Elise Reed, I literally won her that fight. She started to take over in this. If you rewatch that fight, she started taking over the second round by using her jab. I was the guy in the crowd saying, pop your jab. She came out of the octagon after she won, walked over to me and said, I heard you the whole time. Thank you. Because her corner was just like fucking, like there was some random girl in her corner. I was just like watching the fight like a spectator. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? I was like, so I think I want to at least read the fight. Obviously, Gene Matsumoto dominated that fight. Asu. Darren Elkins' lock of the week was absolutely incredible. And then the Cameron Smotherman fight that is on the screen here. I lost my fucking mind on fucking Chris Title only because I watched him warn Jake Hadley before the second round, hey, watch your fingers, that gets the eye poke, and I was loud. I was not going to let that go without a point being taken from Jake Hadley. Take a point, have a spine, Chris. And it's quiet as shit. I'm 10 feet from him, top like this. Take a point, you already warned him. Just in his ear. He ended up taking the point, and now Jake Hadley's
unemployed. Jacob is the reason Jake Hadley was let go. Shit. The funniest part about that is, and obviously it sucks, and Jake Hadley, I'm surprised they cut him, to be honest with you. Because he's normally like kind of exciting kid. Like, I'm surprised they cut him. But they did. It's the end of the year. They thinned the roster to make room for all the UFC Contender Series guys they signed. Or the Dana White Contender Series. But the funniest part about that is he found your tweet. He came to your world. You didn't tweet at him. He found your tweet and basically gave you a hard time saying, you didn't see me get warned. I didn't get warned. whatever. Then he started tweeting on his own about the third round. So he really doesn't think he lost that fight. When it was, even without the point deduction, that dude lost that fight.
Yeah, he was getting smoked.
Yeah.
And the best part, too, that people, you couldn't really hear. You could hear, I rewatched it today to see if you could hear it because I fucking loved it. Because he started finally trying to wrestle in the third round, and he didn't get the takedown. And then there was like 20 seconds that go by, and it's like the 3 minute, maybe 3:30 mark. You can hear me yell, "Here, wait for those desperate takedowns, Cam. They're coming." And then the rest of the round, I kept just yelling at Jake Hadley, "Shoot the takedown, sweetheart. You know you want to shoot it. Shoot the takedown." And he didn't shoot a fucking single takedown the rest of that fight because I was just yelling at him, just daring him to shoot the fucking desperate takedown. "Shoot it, Jake. Shoot it, Jake." He didn't shoot a fucking takedown, so I told you guys I was going to control some of those fights, and I guarantee I control at least 3 or 4 of those outcomes.
I mean, it looked like he had a blast. He didn't do a vlog, but he did upload a nice little montage there, which looked
on my
looked pretty fun.
Twitter and Instagram, there's like a little minute clip of just some highlights and stuff. I mean, Adrian Yanez, I'm actually wearing his hoodie today. After the Smotherman fight, because he was in Smotherman's corner, he came up. I was like, Adrian, he came up, gave me his hat, just put it on my head like I was a little kid. But Adrian gave me his hat. I told you, Elise Reed came up to me. And yeah, I was able to talk. And thank you to whoever was. A lot of people came up to me at the Apex to say hi, which was absolutely incredible. There was even a family. The first person that came up was like a family. The mom was even excited. It was like the mom was looking at me like I was fucking Brad Pitt. She was like, "We all watch your streams." She's like, "It's so nice to meet you." I was like, "Holy shit, this is a good looking lady as well." But I took a picture of them. But there was a lot of other people that came up to say hi. Darren Elkins, his friends came up and were like, "Wow, you were the one that did that video." It's like, we love that video. They were all cool. So I was able to meet the Smotherman's family, Melissa's family. They were cool. And Charles Johnson's family is awesome as well. So a lot of fun. Can't wait to go back. You missed a good one.
Yeah, I need to get to the Apex. I would be embarrassed, though. You would actually embarrass me screaming and yelling like that. I would just
I don't really give a fuck. And I literally...
No, I know you. I know you don't. Yeah.
And I literally lifted, because once I start yelling, then the other people start yelling. Because the best part, which you can hear on our broadcast on the eye poke thing, was because I was yelling like crazy. So then other people feel like they can yell too, even though it's quiet. So my favorite part was a guy sitting behind me, because we were trying to get the point taken for the eye poke. He goes, "Where does it end?" He just fucking, "Where does it end? First the eye poke, what next? Are we stabbing people, Chris? Where does it end?" It's so funny.
I would be embarrassed, but I wouldn't participate in the screaming, but I would enjoy myself.
I mean, I was coaching. I was literally like, and that's just because I was a coach. I mean, you were a coach as well, but like, now that I've heard myself yelling at fighters, I coached high school girls volleyball, those poor girls, because I was the exact same way with fucking high school girls volleyball too. What are you doing? Come on. But I literally coached Elise Reed to a fucking win, so. And I got a point for Cameron, so.
There you go. Well, either way, you had a blast. I'm glad you went. I had fun vicariously through you. And you guys all had a blast as well, because Jacob and I crushed last week. Yes, we fell into some traps. The good news is that Kyler Phillips trap with stupid dog with Robelis to Spain. Can you get the dog, Tiff? That Kyler Phillips trap with Robelis to Spain. Luckily, those two idiots were parlayed together.
I talked to Kyler's nutritionist too before the fight. He was very excited.
We're ready to go, bro. Were you? Are you ready to go?
He was very excited about Kyler.
Asshole.
And, he seemed like a good guy, but yeah, that was...
What an asshole. The first round is what that whole fight should have been. It should have been that for 15 minutes. Done.
Dude, the one time he's ever had cardio was when I picked against him for lock of the week, and I literally said he's going to win the first round, and he always fades, and Pedro Munoz is going to be able to win that fight. And then that one time that I have against him for lock of the week, he doesn't do exactly what he's done in every single fight, which is have an incredible first round and just fucking fade like crazy. I don't understand it. It makes no sense.
Either way, even with a couple of losses, we did quite well. I gave you 20% return on your investment. Jakey Boy gave you 12% return on your investment. We gave you almost 2 units in net profit in a card that a lot of people were overly exposed to. And you can experience this same success. I've dominated 7 of the last 8 cards.
You've been doing
when
well.
Jacob's up, he's up big time. What'd you say?
So you've been doing well, man. So
I am on a heater, and I don't try not to jinx it. I'm not bragging about the safety parlay because I don't want to jinx it.
But fucking lock of the week's been fucking killing it.
Lock of the week's killing it. I just hit 2+ money safeties in a row. Things are going quite well here, and let's roll it into UFC 308. If you do want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, you know where to go. WeWantPicks.com. It's freaking $10 for an entire month. A whole month worth of access for $10. Every single pit, every bet, every tool. One of those tools is a data analyzer. This has tape index. You can watch the actual fights, do your own research, interact with the charts, apply filters. The line movement tracker is going to give you the opening odds, current odds, win probability, line movement for every fighter on every card. The prop hunter is a curated set of data specifically designed to help you find prop bets. The DraftKings Optimizer, this is preloaded with the best DraftKings ownership projections on planet Earth, and it'll build DraftKings lineup for you. And it's not just me and raspy voice Jake. We got Artem giving you his PFL, Bellator, the regional show breakdowns, and an artificial intelligence. Every single thing I just mentioned, $10 for an entire month. Here's the month. You're going to get 2 pay-per-views. We got a nice little stretch here. UFC 308. UFC Edmonton, that's the Amir Albazi card, UFC Vegas 100, and then UFC 309, all within the 1 month period that you will get $10 a month at WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member.
I can't believe they didn't do anything special for you Apex 100.
It is odd. You know what the dumbest thing about all of that is? This has nothing to do with anything, but I see it and it drives me nuts. If you go to like MMA Junkie and
like Vegas, whatever, it's not.
Yeah, they don't call it. Even the UFC says UFC Vegas 100. Like the UFC uses the UFC Vegas hashtag, the UFC Vegas name. But for some reason, the media outlets insist on writing like UFC Fight Night 255. It's like, why? Yeah. It's so stupid. It's like somebody sat down and is like, I refuse to adopt the naming convention that the UFC is using when covering their events.
It's like what America did with their
the metric and the imperial system.
They're like, fuck them. We're going to do our own thing.
It makes no sense. Like, it's so bizarre they do that. But either way, $10 a month. WeWantPicks.com. We do add a couple of super chatterooskies. Nicholas Barnum of the PT Barnum crew. Love you guys. Solid picks. Number 1 in the business. Well, thank you, Nicholas. $1.99 from OKC Thunder. Wow, the basketball team. First live stream listener from Spotify. Well, we appreciate you. We are multicast. We're on YouTube right now. We are on Kick, Rumble, Twitch, all streaming at the exact same time. And then it gets uploaded to all the audio platforms like, whatever. It goes to Spotify and that spreads them out to all the podcasts. $5 from Leo Garcia. I'd like to cover the cost for 3 subs to enjoy a 1 month membership. The picks and tools are excellent. Let me know if we can make that happen. You can. I don't know how to make that happen. Why don't you figure out, let's do this. You figure out who you want to give it to and then super chat $30 with the people's usernames, and then those people can email us. We'll figure it out. That's a convoluted way to do that. I don't know how to do it. We'll figure it out. Because it's through the website, not through YouTube. So I was trying to solve problems that I can't solve. All right. You ready to break down what people are saying is the best card of the entire year, Jakey boy? Are you ready? Is your voice ready?
Is it the best card of the year?
I don't think it's the best card of the year, but it's very, very, very good. It's a very good card.
It's all right. It's
also trickier than a lot of people think as well. You see these like Middle Eastern UFC pay-per-views, and you're like, oh, it should be a clean sweep. This one is not. This is definitely a little tricky, but let's go ahead and break it down. Opening up the UFC 308 fight card, we have Bruno Silva taking on Ismail Naurdiev. Ismail Naurdiev, 3-2 in his last 5. Naurdiev, I don't know, dude. I'm going to butcher so many of these names. It is what it is.
Well, you just add a letter in between R and D when you say it for no reason.
I will listen to John Anik say the name. And obviously, not, he's been in the UFC, but I'll hear them say the name, and then I will still come in here and just pronounce it the way that I think it's pronounced anyway. It is what it is. Till we get to Myktybek. That one I memorized. But Ismail, 23-7 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is making his return to the UFC, taking on Bruno Silva, 23-11 in his career, 1-4 in his last 5. He is on an unfortunate losing skid. And this is an interesting fight to break down because Ismail is a name that you're going to see and you might think it's a UFC debut, but he is not. He actually has been in the UFC before. This is his second stint. His first stint was from 2019 to 2020. He went 2-2. Then he has gone an impeccable, a spectacular 4-3 to earn his way back into the largest promotion on planet Earth. He does bounce between weight classes, all the way from welterweight to middleweight. He'll hit some 175ers on the way in. Style-wise, he's an aggressive striker, good grappling, competent as a kickboxer.
Thank you, Dan.
And a wrestler. That fight so far on, we'll get to the thank you, Dans. I had a clip of the thank you, Dan, in my quick picks. Either way, he's competed as a kickboxer. He's competed.
That you were able to find that on your own. Huh?
It is. As a wrestler, but for some reason, he does struggle to put it all together. He has the individual skills, but really can't turn into an MMA fight. Taking on Bruno Silva. He's a UFC staple at this point. Heavy-handed guy. Solid BJJ. He can knock your head off at any moment. He can implement a grapple-heavy game plan. And although he does have good hands and he hits like an absolute freight train, he is hittable. He gets hit more than he hits other people. He's got that negative striking differential. His performances are pretty hot and cold, and that makes him unreliable. But he did look okay in his recent loss to Chris Weidman before he got double eye poked, and a very interesting situation in that fight. Bruno is an underdog, and it continues to widen. You can see here he opened as a favorite. Then he was just a slight underdog. Now he's just a larger and larger underdog. I think the line's getting too wide. I think Bruno should be a dog. A slight, tiny dog, if not even money. I don't know why this line's taken off. Ismail has lost plenty of times. I mentioned he struggles to put everything together to fight a complete MMA fight. He can wrestle, he can strike, but he doesn't typically wrestle and strike. Bruno has the higher level experience. He's fought the better people. But at the end of the day, I think Ismail's going to come forward, throw hard, and squeak out a win. I'm not confident enough to bet, especially at these odds. You're going to get better odds at Bet Openly, but I think the odds are still a little too far gone. But I think this is the end of the Bruno Silva UFC run. What do you think, Jakey Boombalats?
Yeah, I think I pretty much agree with what you said there. I do like Ismail as the better overall fighter. I just think he is a guy that could do some things in the UFC. As you mentioned, he's very talented. He can wrestle, he can grapple, he can strike. But when he's striking, he'll make mistakes and get chinned. When he's grappling, he'll make mistakes in that area as well. And as you said, you just really can't put it together. There's two things that I worry about. Number one, I already kind of mentioned, is even when he was having success in the striking, he can get a little bit careless, a little bit reckless. You saw that happen in his fight a couple fights ago, whatever it was. I think it was the last fight he got knocked out. He was beating the shit out of that guy. Just got a little bit too aggressive chasing, got set down and put out. And against Bruno Silva, it seems like that could happen. I mean, he's going to be probably pressuring Bruno. Bruno will back up against the fence, but Bruno is a hard guy to put out. And if he thinks that he's having success and Bruno kind of was that out of Adesanya versus Alex, comes over that big right hand, he could catch Ismail. The other thing is Ismail really likes to set everything up with his calf kick, a really strong, heavy calf kick. Bruno being a southpaw, that calf kick really is going to be there the same way that it would be against an orthodox fighter. So without him being able to set up his striking with that calf kick, and maybe getting too overzealous, that's enough pause for concern for me to not bet him. But he has an opportunity, I think, to dominate this fight on the ground. I think he's a good enough grappler to get it there and dominate Bruno. That would be my game plan if you trust your cardio, but he should be the better fighter. He's going to be my pick, but I agree, I'm not betting him.
Yeah, and the value's gone. If he was a good-sized dog, maybe, but not as a favorite. Can't make that happen.
I would consider him for lock of the week if he was an underdog for sure.
Yeah, but I think that was a very small window where he was, because as you guys know, I crank out my quick pick videos early as shit Sunday morning.
How many times do you crank it out a day?
Until it's bruised, basically. But then the skin gets thicker, and then you build up a tolerance, and now I got leather. Either way, that quick pick video gets cranked out on Sunday mornings, bright and early, which means I am prepared a week or sometimes 2-3 weeks ahead of time. I didn't see at any point Bruno Silva as the favorite. So that line must have flipped instantly, immediately after being dropped. $8,300 in DraftKings Fantasy, $7,900 in DraftKings Fantasy. We have 13 fights to choose from. 14 if Said Magomedov gets added back onto this card.
Say the name again?
Said Magomedov. How does Joe Rogan say it? Remember when he did that? You know.
Oh, I know.
I'm probably going to leave this fight alone out of my DraftKings Fantasy.
Right in the mic.
But if you do want to unlock all the picks, the bets, the round line leans, the artificial intelligence, the tools, and everything else for 4 fight cards,
sub Bruno,
which includes
I think the sub bet's a pretty good bet.
UFC 309, you can do that now. WeWantPicks.com, click become a member, $10 for an entire month. We do have it
by sub plus 600.
We have a 20 Bulgarian, I forget what it's called, Nevs, Bulgarian Nev super chat from D1 Mins. Cheers for all the free content, guys. Love your channel. Dimes? That would make more sense than D1 Mins. Cheers for all the free content, guys. Love your channel, and you helped me make a decent chunk of change already, so let's share. Well, we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
We do appreciate you.
For the super chat. You would think with your voice, you would just
with your
be
voice that you would think, okay.
I have three kids.
I have three kids. So.
And this is when I'll say something, hoping you repeat it, and then you don't, and I'm just stuck here like, I'm a ginger idiot.
What?
Got his ass. Next up at UFC 308, thank you. We have Ivo Aslan taking on Raffael Cerqueira. Ivo Aslan, 13-1. He is now squarely an underdog, but he is 13-1. 5-0 in his last 5 with a 100% finish rate. Taking on Raffael Cerqueira. 11-0 in his career, undefeated with 10 stoppages on his side. This is an absolute barn burner on paper, and if these new UFC gloves don't screw us, we should be in for a finish on either side of this fight. Ivo Aslan's a pretty heavy-handed guy. He can knock you out with just half power and short hooks. He is wide. He is sloppy. He's not coming in with clean technique, but it doesn't matter. He's all power, and he's got power in the hands and the feet. He's not looking to wrestle, but he will sneak in the occasional body lock trip if he needs to and then just tee off on top. He does have big-time cardio issues. Those were exposed in his only ever loss to Anton Turkalj, and then when they ran it back in a rematch, he didn't dispel any of those concerns. He gassed in that fight too, even though he got the win. He's taking on Raffael Cerqueira. This guy's a patient guy, takes his time. He fights loose, he fights fluid. He's not in a hurry, he doesn't chase finishes, and he doesn't even seem to throw with intent, but he is dangerous. He's athletic enough to be creative on his feet. He's good enough on the ground to hang there as well. Pretty big guy at 6'4", use that size to move forward, get you on your back foot. I watched the tape knowing his record, but the whole time I went through whatever fight tape I could find, I was like, this guy is undefeated with 10 stoppages? Like, where? I don't see the sense of urgency. He doesn't seem like that guy. Like Ivo, you watch his tape, you're like, holy shit, this guy's trying to rip your head off. You don't get that same, you sound like a serial killer. You don't get that same.
I didn't say anything.
No, just the squeaking, the slow squeaking in the chair, like just. Yeah, that sounds like a serial killer chair or like a rickety rocking chair on a porch.
What would my serial killer name be once they started finding the bodies? You know how they have like the Bay Harbor Butcher was Dexter. They had fucking, I don't know what Dahmer and stuff were them called, but you know they always have like a name for when they start finding bodies. What would my name be?
I would probably the anemic arson. Because you're clearly anemic, like you don't have enough iron. That's why your skin looks like that. And I imagine you would light things on fire after, because you seem like, if you look in your eyes, you seem like you don't have a soul, and you would just burn things and look at it like that would give you joy. So the anemic arson, for sure. But if we get back to this fight, if you just watch Raffael fight, he doesn't seem like a guy that would be undefeated, that would have 10 stoppages, but he is that guy. And he's the better fighter here. Ivo has a ton of holes in his game. His cardio is absolute shit. He's a brawler. He doesn't like forward pressure, but he comes out hot. He is dangerous. He is fast. If Raffael has that lax attitude, I think Ivo's going to take advantage of that. And that's why I'm actually going to pick Ivo here, even though he's moving towards the dog side. Now, here we go. The anemic arson with the hot take. I just think...
Huh?
There's
no,
not. There's.
I read somebody said the sunscreen killer.
No. Oh, I thought you were making fun of me. Off tape study alone, Ivo's got to be the pick. But looking at their records, knowing Ivo has giant holes, not knowing quite what holes Raffael has, because I was hard pressed to find tape of him like in trouble. So it's a tricky fight to call. But I am going to pick Ivo. I'm going to go in the dog here. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that Ebo is the dog at this point. I agree, it's definitely close. Both these guys are not. I mean, I don't think neither one of these guys are like UFC level guys. Like neither one of these guys is going to evolve into a world champion. I mean, Raffael is already 34. This guy's Ebo 28 and still doesn't know how to move his head at all. And against actual strikers, is going to be a problem. And could be a problem in this fight. I mean, both these guys just kind of swing wild, swing heavy with no real defense. Raffael's hands are a little bit lower. I got to go Ebo here because I think his shots are a little bit straighter, and I did see him in a little bit of adversity, right? You mentioned you'd never really seen Raffael in those situations that he was in against Anton. I know it was Anton or whatever, but he still had to kind of go through the fire a little bit. He was able to win that fight. So I just think he throws a little bit straighter shots, and when they're both throwing heavy. I think whoever gets there first is going to win this battle. I think it's probably going to be Ebo, but, I mean, it's not high confidence at all. I think they both suck.
Yeah. I don't think they suck. These are the type of fighters the UFC wants.
They're not great.
They're not the most skilled people in the world, but this is exactly who the UFC wants. Two guys, exciting, fun. This will be a fun fight to watch. I'm looking forward to it.
I think they're both. I bet they stare at each other and neither one
just
throws
get
a
gassed
punch
as hell
for like
15 minutes.
Like 3 or 4 minutes. Both these guys will like literally just stare at their opponent.
Raffael for sure.
When you get two guys like that where they both know the other one has power and they both have records that they kind of want to protect and stuff like that, a lot of times they just fucking. I would not be surprised if this is one of those fights that they just fucking stare at each other.
Yeah, I mean, I get you. I think it should be a fun fight. If there is not a knockout in this fight, then the gloves and all the conspiracy theories about the gloves are true. And those things suck. And you can't get knocked out for some reason. Because both these guys are very finishable. And both of them have a ton of finishes. They're just willing to stand there and bang.
How do you know Raffael is finishable?
You're right. He might not be. But he's willing to stand there and bang.
You just said both these guys are very finishable.
All right. I'll bet the under. You bet the over. Smart man.
All I'm questioning is why you would say that Raffael was a finishable guy. He's never been finished.
It's just I got a good gut feeling. Yeah, just a feeling in the gut.
Yeah, when you fucking got your nuts taken out, you got some sort of superpower sucked in that little hole.
They don't remove your nuts for a vasectomy. They're useless.
I bet they have. I bet they did. I bet fucking Tiffany did about 12 years ago.
Okay. We need to continue on. DraftKings Fantasy, $8,200 is the salary on Ebo. $8,000 is the salary on Raffael. I'm not touching it for a safe single entry cash game, but you're going to need exposure to both these guys if you're doing a large field GPP tournament. Use the optimizer. The optimizer will guide you. The optimizer will pick what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. And that optimizer is included in premium membership. You're going to get the picks, the bets, the artificial intelligence. You're going to get every single tool. We don't separate fantasy from gambling. We don't separate anything.
And we're going to add a tennis group.
We're not doing it. Yeah. And guys, if we have a horrific week and we lose 30 grand,
don't worry.
It's cool. We have the best tennis group chat. And we'll add you to that just to really soften the blow. Either way, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It is only $10. That $10 gets you all the way out to UFC 3.
We don't have a tennis group.
No, we don't have.
You got to say. I mean, people don't know sarcasm.
Yeah, I mean, I will get an angry email. Hey, I signed up. Where's the
group?
Fucking? A couple of super chats. $10 from Dustin Allen.
A lot of super chats, man.
Thank you all very much.
It's funny where you're healthy and nobody really cares, but now that people worry that I might be sick, all of a sudden donations are just pouring in. Oh my God, Jacob's voice. Oh my God. Holy shit, we can't lose the Sally, Mandy.
Been a fan since day one. Love the content, guys. No matter the card, you can count that my DraftKings lineup will always have the lock of the week. Fort Myers, Florida loves the freckled salamander. Is this your parents' shadow account?
I don't think they could possibly do that, but I do.
Jacob and I met in Fort Myers on a hot as shit South Florida afternoon 10 years ago.
I was shining, wasn't I? Out there washing my car.
Dude, the white trash setup. He literally, if anybody who hasn't heard it,
okay,
Jacob.
Yeah, let's make fun of me for making sure that my dog can be outside and living her life. Go ahead.
Jacob and I our driveways backed up to each other. So I look out the window and I see
By the way, I would never look out my window towards your house, but you apparently all the time were checking me out.
Yeah, because I was like, what kind of white trash setup did I move into? He's out there with a little kiddie pool, a $6 kiddie pool, his dog splashing around, while he's hand washing his Mazda Miata in cut-off jean shorts. I'm not joking. That's not an exaggeration. Every single bit of what I said is true. Jacob, can you confirm?
Yeah, I have a black lab. I have a black lab, and it's fucking South Florida. I can't bring her outside and walk her when it's 100 degrees and humid. So
why are you washing the car in the jean shorts? That's the piece that was odd.
What's wrong with jean shorts? You wear jean shorts, they get wet. They dry very fast. In the sun, you're in jean shorts in the sun. Nothing dries fast.
I've never worn jean shorts ever.
You didn't
never wore jorts. Ever.
Everyone in the chat that lives in the Midwest knows this, is where you wear jeans your entire winter, and once it gets spring, your mom would cut the legs halfway across all your jeans. That way she didn't have to buy shorts. Sorry, I mean, I didn't live a privileged life, Angelo, so maybe you went out and you got spring clothes every whatever at Macy's or the whatever malls you shop at in New York, Balenciaga or something like that. You get your little shorts every spring. But my mom, being efficient, you wear your jeans during the winter, and you're going to grow out of those jeans anyway. You can't wear them next winter because I was
your mom was buying 16
I was a growing boy
pants
all the time, so she would just cut the legs off of all the jeans, and then you had shorts all summer, jean shorts.
And then summer was over, she'd donate them to the local orphanage, and some 6-year-old had full-size pants.
Confirm that? That's what happened?
All right, we need to move on. I'm going to get rid of this comment. I was going to talk about Dexter. Jacob watched Dexter. He put me on the Dexter. I think it's one of the greatest shows of all time.
I'm rewatching it now. I just finished season 2 on the plane coming back from Vegas.
Such a good show. I'm looking forward to the comeback.
Love it.
$1.99 from Nicholas Barnum again. No place I'd rather be on a Tuesday night. Thank you for the second.
Angelo was probably that kid who tied his sweater around his neck backwards. Yes. When he was walking his fucking...
I was raised by immigrants.
Bullshit dog, his fucking poodle when he met me. That's what he had on. He had on fucking penny loafers, pastel shorts, a sweater around his neck with a T-shirt that said, I love New York.
Listen, that is a very Connecticut outfit, but that ain't me, dog. With Angel Tavares, $9.99. Angel, feliz cumpleaños, Salamandra. Boats and Hose. Thank you.
Boats and Hose.
Angel.
Appreciate that. It was my birthday last week. If you guys didn't wish me happy birthday, do it right now, please.
And Mike Sharpley with the $4.99. Old Red had me yelling after a few whiskeys at the Apex and got me paid. I told him I'd subscribe. Roll Tide. Well, we appreciate you, Mike. Didn't Alabama just lose or again? No, they just keep
Georgia
losing.
smacked Texas.
We actually watched that at the bar. I was like, go sports. Yes, sports.
And the Colts are never going to lose again. So
there you go. Next up at UFC 308, we have the latest addition to the card. Rinat Fakhretdinov taking on short notice Carlos Leal. It's not Leal, it's Leal. Rinat Fakhretdinov, 23-2 in his career, 4-0-1 in his last 5. He is riding an 18-fight win streak. Short notice Carlos Leal, 21-5 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5. And as I mentioned, he's stepping in on about a week's notice here.
He was already scheduled for a fight.
Not on this card, though.
But I think this weekend, it's in. He was already in Saudi Arabia too, I believe. So
Abu Dhabi,
whatever.
Rinat is a non-stop wrestler. He'll throw absolute haymaker bombs on his feet. He is willing to strike and then just constant forward pressure. Throw those big 1-2s, bend over, grab a leg, and just run right through it. When he gets on top, he's going to pound away. He's looking for a TKO, not really looking for submissions. And even though he has power in his hands, even though he has high-level wrestling, he's not a finisher. And he does fade as the fight goes on. He's coming off that close decision win over Nicholas Dalby, where he dropped Nicholas, and then in typical Rinat fashion, fade as the fight went on. Taking on Carlos Leal. This is his UFC debut, but he is a veteran of the sport. He's fought all over the world in some of the largest promotions outside of the UFC. Style-wise, dangerous Muay Thai guy. He is not afraid to engage. His forward pressure and open hand stance do leave him open to get kicked, but he is durable enough to hang. He's got grappling as well, but it is squarely his backup plan. Takedown defense just okay. Mostly strength defense, right? He's just being strong, hooking, pushing, and stuffing. He's not really using clean technique or scramble skills. Carlos is going to be strong early, certainly dangerous on his feet, but his takedown defense is just not good enough here. I think Rinat's just going to smoke him. His cardio is always a concern, but I do think short notice, a big step up, UFC debut, that helps Rinat here. Rinat's going to be the pick, and I think he's very affordable right now. He's not parlayable, at least not as I'm recording this or as we're live at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night, just because BetOnline has him locked, but he's only minus 235. You can see he opened as a bigger favorite than that. The line movement is actually surprising to me. Like, I get it. Carlos has a ton of experience. He's been all over the world. He doesn't really defend takedowns well, and that's kind of what you need to do here. What do you think, Jakey Boom Balats?
Yeah, I actually agree with the line movement. I mean, Carlos Leal is a very, very solid fighter in my mind. He's a pressure guy. I think is not the same type of wrestler when you're pressuring him, whether he compared to when he can pressure you and get that space that he needs to shoot those takedowns. And honestly, I fucking hate Rinat at this point. I mean, he had that one fight. I can't remember if it was the draw or the Dolby fight or whatever it was, where he was almost hurt, finished, and after the fight, he almost lost the fight, and then he's just like laughing and joking and high fiving. It's like, dude, you almost lost his. What kind of fucking mindset is this? Ever since I saw that, I'm like, this guy cannot be fucking trusted at all, because it looked like he honestly didn't give a shit that he almost lost that fucking fight. He was just in there having fun, which is good. Hats off to him for having fun. I want a fucking killer, especially when you're trying to move into this division, especially when you're against these kind of short notice fighters. Or not just isn't that guy. He's got power. He kind of trusts that power too much. And if he gets in a situation where he's going to need to get desperate with those takedowns against Carlos, this isn't Nicholas Dalby. This is a guy that can have real power as you make those entries, knows how to grapple and defend those takedowns if they are desperate, which Rinat kind of gets in that mode where he's just shooting those crazy, desperate takedowns. I think this fight is going to be razor thin. I think it's going to come down to what kind of mood the judges are in, right? Are they going to reward Rinat for all that desperation? Are they going to reward a guy like Carlos, who I think is going to be able to survive early and kind of defend stuff late and be able to kind of maybe point fight? So I kind of agree with these odds. My pick is going to be Rinat, because I think that he's just going to be still relentless enough to kind of get that decision, but I don't see him dominating this fight, and I wouldn't be surprised if Carlos pulls this out.
Yeah, I don't think Carlos is going to win this fight. I think his aggressive striking is actually going to be his undoing, and I think he'll get frustrated as the fight goes on, just taking down.
Would.
But obviously, Rinat not being a finisher is a bit concerning, right? I wish he was a finisher. Over 2.5, probably a pretty safe play here if you don't trust the money line on either side, because, I mean, Carlos could knock out Rinat, but if that happens, you got bigger issues anyway. Maybe Carlos inside the distance decision, no action, is a solid bet. So I'll take a look at that when that drops.
I'm looking at plus 3.5 when it drops for sure for Carlos.
You think he can steal a round? I would rather do inside the distance decision, no action, because he's not going to get finished.
Rinat's tough.
Yeah, then you get a full refund. I guess we'll see all this.
I think it's a close fight.
I guess we'll find out when that drops. Carlos is good, and he's been around the block. He's fought in some large promotions. It's not just some bullshit hollow record that, oh, look where I am now. $8,900.
Two of his losses are to that side dude who's like a fucking 7 foot tall, just wild fucking striker who can also wrestle and grapple and too. So, I mean, he's got 5 losses, but 2 of those are the same guy. It's a really hard guy to fight. So, I mean, this guy's good.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I do think Rinat, I want to say dominates, but dominates like Rinat does, just lots and lots of takedowns. Therefore, I do think the $8,900 in DraftKings Fantasy is worth it. Rinat puts up numbers. It's just takedown. And if you get somebody as tough and as durable as Carlos, you're even better to get the points in DraftKings Fantasy, because we just have more takedowns. The Prize Picks line that I put out for premium members, I did the Rinat over 4 takedowns. I think he's going to get 5 or 6 takedowns in this fight, because Carlos is going to keep scrambling, keep making stuff happen, get taken down again. And I think that's what this fight's going to look like. That's my DraftKings Fantasy lineup, but it doesn't have to be yours. You can use the tools to build your own. You also can just have full access to every single bet that we place, and we have been dominating. I am up good money 7 of the last 8 events. UFC Paris was the only one that gave me a hard time. The rest of those have been smooth sailing. WeWantPicks.com, click Becoming Members, $10 for an entire month, and that month includes UFC 308, 2 really good fight nights, and then UFC 309 on the back end. Next up, at UFC 308, we have Farid Basharat taking on Victor Hugo. And everybody talks about Victor Hugo's the Rizzler, not that fat diabetic kid. Anyway, Dude, I don't understand. Like, I understand the Costco guys. Boom, boom. I get it. It's all good and fun.
We bring the boom.
I'm worried about the Rizzler kid. That kid is
boom.
like 200 pounds at 7 years old. Like, that's not good.
Boom.
That kid has like major health issues. You see him run when he played at that Knicks celebrity game. That kid can't run. That kid's going to have problems. Dude, it's bad. It's bad. Like, and it's cute now because he's a kid. Eventually, he's just like 13 and needs to get cut out of his house. Get that kid on a diet. Anyway, sorry. I know people love the Rizzler. I'm going to get fucking lit up for that. I'm not making fun of the kid. I'm concerned for him. I got a little girl or 2 kids. And if one of them was that big, I wouldn't be embracing it.
One of them had a childhood like mine, Angelo says.
Well, my parents did shove
That's
food
why
down raised by immigrants. Eat.
That's literally why I think you relate to him, because you were in that same situation and you barely
wrestling saved my life. Yeah, wrestling saved my life.
And now you're, it's tipping on that edge
again.
Heading
back.
But you're doing enough right now to stay alive, and obviously all the medications you're on right now is.
I'm on zero medications whatsoever. I did get an Ozempic allegation a couple of months ago. It was kind of nice, actually. Well, somebody's like, you're losing weight a little too fast.
Well, you can look up symptoms of AIDS medication. A lot of times it does have to do with appetite, weight loss, all that type of stuff. So that's definitely helping. Obviously, it would be better to be able to lose weight without having AIDS. That would be
okay.
Perfect.
First of all, I'm not even losing weight. I'm just training, which is really just converting. Let's break this down. We got Farid Basharat taking on the grown-ass Rizzler. Farid Basharat, undefeated, 12-0 in his career. He's coming off that decision win over Taylor Lapilus, taking on Victor Hugo. I called him the Rizzler because look at the look he's giving us right now. That dude pierced up his mustache and said, I'm ready, take the picture. 25-4 in his career, 5-0 in his last 5. He is riding a 14-fight win streak. This is another fight. The odds seem crazy to me. Like, Victor Hugo is doing well. A 14-fight win streak. He's a good fighter. He's a big guy that bounces between weight classes. He's fought everywhere from bantamweight all the way up to welterweight. And he can be a wild striker. He'll come forward, he'll bomb away. He's got some power. And just like that wild, aggressive striking, he'll be wild and aggressive on the ground. He'll chase submission. He'll chase takedowns, even if that means losing a position. He's coming off a win in that UFC debut where he actually was surprisingly, uncharacteristically patient, calm, had clean striking, but he did spend a good amount of time against the cage. Taking on Farid Basharat, one half of the Basharat brothers. Well-rounded guy, good solid wrestling, good striking as well. He's got that loose stance, that taekwondo stance, where he'll bounce in and out and stay mobile. Constantly working.
You got plenty of room back there. Just kind of show us what kind of a karate or taekwondo stance would look like compared to
just
a regular
like
stance. Well, push the chair back up if you don't mind.
Okay.
You got plenty of room. So let's just show like a typical boxing stance first.
This is first, the taekwondo.
Okay. Now do maybe a karate stance. What's the difference between like a taekwondo and a karate? No, push the chair back there still.
No, we're done. I'm breaking this fight down.
What's the difference?
One really peaked in the mid-90s and the other one in the late 80s.
Hey!
You're doing Japanese sounds. Those are not Japanese martial arts. Either way, Farid Basharat has that taekwondo stance, but also very, very good
Angelo's
wrestling.
not on the second floor, someone said.
The kids just woke up. He's coming off that decision win over Taylor Lapilus where he had...
alert on my phone. Holy, what the fuck does this say?
Oh, yeah, here we go. With the Richter scale.
Shit.
Here we go.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Small earthquake measured north of Dallas. Seek shelter immediately.
Yeah, okay.
My God.
Did the internet go out? Farid can wrestle and strike. He's supposed to fight at UFC Saudi Arabia, but he pulled out like what Jacob's father should have done. When Javid, Farid's brother, lost, I was ready to just screw both these guys. The Basharat brother, they're not dangerous. They don't go for it. They just want to point fight, dance around, maybe wrestle every now and then. But I'm coming around on Farid because he's more willing to wrestle. Less dancing, less engagement. He is more willing to actually come forward and try to win the fight. So I am going to pick Farid here. I'm going that direction. I'm a little hesitant to bet a bunch of money on it because we just don't know how good Victor Hugo is yet, but I think over 2.5 is pretty safe here. What do you think, Jacob?
That was deep, huh?
Yeah, well.
Somebody said fire back. No, I don't. There's definitely a difference between, fun banter. Oh, Angel's got AIDS, he's dying. And then I wish you weren't born. Because that's one of the meanest things I think you could ever say to somebody is, I wish you were not born.
I didn't say I wish.
You should have not been born, is what you said.
I just said your father should have pulled out. But you have a sibling. Maybe I was talking about that half of the equation. You don't know. Lots of ambiguity. Who do you think wins this fight?
And plus, I was adopted. The doctor said a lot of times, especially when they know the way I act, the way I think and stuff, the doctors started questioning whether it was more of a divine intervention type birth. They don't know
Your mom's a virgin.
Father is.
Yeah.
They don't know who the father is. I just showed up one day. I couldn't be not from this planet. Sometimes I get feelings and thoughts as if I'm not one of everybody else, right? And I've tried to chase down what that could be. I've looked into the astronomy, astrology, into the stars, into the sky, all this type of stuff. Even I am a Libra, so I started looking at Libra stuff, and I haven't really figured it out. I watch a lot of space movies, Interstellar, Gravity, The Martian, Armageddon, Deep Impact.
Okay, let's go. Got it. You like nerd movies. Got it. Come on. And Armageddon's spectacular. One of the best movies of all time. But continue, please. No. Come on.
Just to hear
guys, you hear me trying. I'm trying.
I can stay lost in this moment forever.
Come on.
Every moment staying with you is a moment I treasure. Don't want to close my eyes. Don't want to fall asleep 'cause I miss you, baby. And I don't want to miss a thing. So Victor Hugo, to me, is a guy that really just lets people get on his hips just way too much. I like Victor Hugo. And he's going to be live in this fight because Farid Basharat is not really a dangerous guy. I think he's probably going to be able to get the takedowns he needs. But every time he's in that closing the distance situation, Victor Hugo's got real power and can throw some really unorthodox shots. When Farid is getting those takedowns, he's got to be looking out for all sorts of wild submissions for Victor Hugo. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a couple ninja choke attempts, some sliding through, rotating through for the knee bars and the heel hooks, all that type of stuff. I think Victor Hugo is going to be kind of live the entirety of this fight, but Farid should be able to he's got the striking that's good enough to stay safe, and he knows how to get those takedowns. And if you watch Victor, he was lucky in that last fight that guy he fought was only on about 3 days notice because that guy ended up getting tired, and Victor was able to take over that fight. If he didn't get tired, he's basically controlled against the fence the entire time, takedowns or not. He was still controlled, I think, for almost 7 minutes in that fight. So He's got to keep Farid off his hips. I don't think he's going to. Farid should win this fight, but I do have a little bit of action on the Victor side because I think if anybody's going to finish a fight, it's going to be Victor in a weird way. So,
yeah, I agree. But neither Basharat are very dangerous.
Jabba is a little bit of a bitch.
Yep, and that was that loss was brutal to watch. Just the not going for it. And the conscious decision, the point fight, is brutal. I understand if you're trying to win a fight, but not everybody has power. Sometimes your opponent is dangerous. But literally when the game plan is to point fight, like my game plan is to come out here and win a precise 15-minute. That's so annoying to watch. And it's hard to back those people with your money because you want somebody who's going to go out there and try to win that fight every minute of the fight, not just try to steal seconds here and there.
Yeah.
But Farid isn't as calculated, if you will, as Javid is.
And Victor, I saw some people, I think in the Discord, made the comparison of Farid's already fought somebody like Victor in a Clayton Rodriguez, which is kind of right because Clayton's also a very dangerous guy. But I think Victor's a much more durable type of guy than Clayton. I think he's going to be able to stay safe and be a little bit more alive the entire fight. Uh-oh. Yeah,
we're both. Why'd you say uh-oh?
I think the singing kind of took another chunk out of my voice here. So
there you go. Well,
the sickness is upon me.
$9,600 for Farid Basharat? No way. Not doing it. Even if he does have a wrestle heavy game plan, he's got good control. So you're going to get a couple of takedowns out of him. You're not going to get 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yes, he had 5 in his last fight, but Taro Lapilus has a much better get-up game than Victor Hugo has. So I am going to pick Farid Basharat. I'm not going to spend the $9,600 in DraftKings Fantasy. I think there's better spots. But if you do want to unlock every single pick, every single bet, the artificial intelligence that we have that's picking fights based solely off of historical data, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's freaking $10. That's going to get you 4 events, which will include UFC 309, which is the John Jones fight card. $10 super chat from Seth Otto. Prayers up for Big Ange. We're all praying for you. Saint Aloysius Gonzaga is looking out for you, and so are we. This is serious, and I'm sorry to hear that AIDS has now gone terminal. You got this. Listen, I appreciate you. AIDS is not, I don't have it. That was a rumor started by my co-host. $1.99 from Luis.
Do you know who?
Ange was the boy that ate chocolate.
Do you know who that Aloysius Gonzaga is?
Nope.
Aloysius de Gonzaga was an Italian aristocrat who became a member of the Society of Jesus. While still a student at the Roman college, he died as a result of caring for the victims of a serious epidemic.
Sounds like a great guy.
He was in
he's in my corner.
Saint.
And he's in my corner. All right, let's go. Next up at UFC 308, we have Kennedy Nzechukwu with short notice fly across the world. Should have fought 2 weeks ago and didn't. Chris Barnett. Kennedy Nzechukwu, 12-5 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He is riding back-to-back losses. Taking on Chris Barnett, 23-8 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. Coming back after a 2-year layoff and what was supposed to be a fight just a couple of weeks ago. Kennedy Nzechukwu, this guy's massive. He's tall. He's long. He's powerful. Solid takedown defense. He's never out of a fight. He's got a whole bunch of come-from-behind victories, and that's because he takes his time. He doesn't come out hot. He doesn't come out aggressive. He takes his time. He's a little gun-shy. He ends up behind on the scorecards. 3-4 different occasions, he was able to come back from that, find a finish late, make something happen. Other times, he just continues to get smothered, continues to get walked down, doesn't let his hands go, which is what just happened in his last fight against OSP, where he was a massive minus 550 favorite. Taking on Chris Barnett. And he doesn't look like it, but he is very athletic. Shockingly dynamic. This guy can do all sorts of flips, swirls, and acrobatics inside the cage. He's got some good power. He can manage to land strikes, even though he almost always has the shorter reach and certainly will in this fight. The issue on him has always been it comes to him pretty easily. He's a very athletic guy, and this has just been an easy sport for him, at least pre-UFC. So he doesn't work hard. He doesn't train hard. He doesn't put down the chicken Big Mac. He just continues to live his normal life, goes in there, and is at. I've had a couple of them, and they're delicious. They're fucking spectacular, dude. They're so good. They're so good. Anyway, I'm not a professional athlete, okay? If I was, I wouldn't be having chicken Big Macs, okay? Anyway, he can do all the things. He just doesn't train as hard as he should. At least he hadn't historically. 2-year layoff because of some personal things going on. A whole bunch of other stuff. Supposed to fight 2 weeks ago. The hurricane blew through Tampa. That's where he lives, so he wasn't able to fight. But he got an upgrade here. Fly to the other side of the world. See a new place and fight there. Kennedy is a massive favorite, minus 700. That has gotten all the way up to minus 750. It was down a little bit, but it seems pretty stable here at minus 700. If you love him, you'll get him at minus 534 at BetOnline. The reality is Kennedy should win this fight. He's big. He's long. We don't know what to expect from a Chris Barnett who I haven't seen in the cage in 2 full years. But Kennedy does kind of suck. He kind of sucks. We've seen it in a couple of fights where it's like, dude. But he also does have some power. He was able to pull some pretty big wins off. And he has wins over top 5 people in the UFC's light heavyweight division. This is a heavyweight fight. Kennedy's going to be the pick, but I'm not touching this. If we didn't learn shit from Robelis to Spain, if we didn't learn shit from Kennedy Nzechukwu blowing it the last time, then something's wrong. You have an extra chromosome. You're not learning things. Jakey boy, who do you think wins this fight?
Yeah, if you're Jesus, Angelo. If you're fucking watching this guy Kennedy be a minus 5, minus 6, minus 7, minus 800 favorite, whatever he was versus OSP, and you watch that fight and you watch him lose that fight, and then you continue to bet this guy at minus 600, minus 700, minus 500, whatever it's at, I think you're done, guys. I think this is enough for you. If that's not a wake-up call to what the fuck you're doing with your life, I don't know what's going on. I understand it's Chris Barnett. I understand the guy's 7 foot tall. Chris Barnett's 5'3". He should win this fight. He's got the striking. He's got the power. He's the actual kind of well-rounded fighter. But if you're doing that after you just saw this guy not give a fuck, I don't know what to do. I think it's time to put the money down, put the books down, and find a new hobby. Okay, and for that fact, I'm going the other side. I'm taking my guy, Chris Barnett. I'm not scared. Because you know what? Between these two guys, I know who's going to give a fuck. I know Chris Barnett's going to give a fuck. That dude tries his fucking ass off, right? He's going to get in this dude's face. He's going to swing wild. He might get knocked out, but at least he fucking gives a fuck. And I've seen too many times where Kennedy just backs up against the fence and put his hands up and just kind of sits there, whatever. If this dude, Chris Barnett, pushes this guy against the fence, and he just covers up like this, Chris Barnett is not going to fucking stop throwing strikes until the ref stops the fight. And if the ref starts saying, you gotta fight back, Kennedy, he's not gonna fucking fight back. He's gonna keep his hands up there, and the fight could be stopped, I promise you. If Chris Barnett backs this guy up, he's not gonna fucking stop. Okay, I know Chris Barnett's going to give a fuck. I'll put my money on plus 500 on a guy who gives a fuck. I have a bet on him. He's my pick, and I hope he fucking smokes him.
I'm all for it. Listen, I agree. We came to different conclusions with who wins the fight, but we had the exact same logic getting there. You cannot bet on a huge favorite, Kennedy Nzechukwu. He has let us down before. We've seen it with our own eyes. Huge favorite, fought a 40-year-old man and lost, and he didn't lose in a fluke. He lost every minute of a 15-minute fight against a 40-year-old man. That was not supposed to happen.
And we just saw OSP look like it. It's not like it's not like OSP. If he would have followed up that, and I honestly thought he could follow up, because I'm like, oh, Kennedy's a pretty good striker. He's going to follow up. He's going to beat Ryan Spann. He got fucking smoked by Ryan Spann. So it's not like that loss ages well. OSP's still fucking terrible.
Yeah. So Kennedy should win, but. Yeah, I'm not spending $9,700 in DraftKings Fantasy. Just too much risk there,
right?
It is heavyweight.
First fight at heavyweight, so
I don't know if this was officially. Was this always a heavyweight fight? It looked like it was.
Short notice.
No, it looked like it was. If you looked at his original opponents who dropped out, like Rogerio de Lima's a heavyweight. I just don't know. He's had 3 opponents. I just don't know when it became a heavyweight
slow,
fight.
And if he doesn't have the speed, then Chris is really.
Then what has he got?
Him.
Oh, Chris, dude. I mean, listen. He looks like that. He's
a
very athletic.
He's the son of a bitch.
And he's I spent a bunch of time with him in Turkey. We went to Turkey for fights. I was managing fighters in the XFC. He was the XFC's biggest draw. Dude couldn't be nicer. Literally the nicest guy in the world. Ton of fun. He's got that energy. You just want to be around him. And like I said, the only knock on him was always he just doesn't work hard. And that's a lot of people in life. When things come easy to them, they don't work for it.
But a lot of those people, that translates into their performances, and it does for him as far as being his attributes and the way he technically does stuff. But a lot of that mentality, if you're not working hard out, you're not going to work hard in the octagon. But at least he can turn it on, and he works hard when
he's not a bitch.
Right?
Yeah,
but you know what I'm saying, right? A lot of times it carries over, and if you're not, practice how you play type of thing, but he doesn't really practice, and he fucking plays hard.
Yeah, no, 100%.
He's basically Chris Barnett is the Allen Iverson of MMA. We're talking about practice.
Yeah,
we're talking about practice. Well, don't you think you can make your teammates better at practicing? How the hell am I supposed to make my teammates better by practicing? That's the best line. That's Chris Barnett's the Allen Iverson of MMA.
I'll be rooting for him big time. Do not bet on Kennedy Nzechukwu. I mean, if he wins, he wins. And you're like, oh, I should have. The odds are minus 700. That means you have to bet. If you're new to all this and you're just watching the breakdown, and sports betting is new to you in your state.
Not a game. We're talking about practice, man.
700 means that you have to spend $700. And if Kennedy wins, you get your 700 back and then 100. It's not worth it. What is worth it, though, is premium. You get all the picks, all the tools. We're going to give you every single bet that we put on the board. We're going to give you every single bet we put on the board for 4 events. All the tools, the insight, the artificial intelligence. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's $10 for an entire month. Couple super chatterooskies. Seth Otto, the patron saint of AIDS. He's talking about that saint that was mentioned earlier. I forget the name. Jacob Smith, GG Money, lock of the week, Kennedy Nzechukwu. Are you saying that the minus 700 is your lock of the week? We appreciate the $2. That's the dude in the Discord that's like, my locks are undefeated, and they're always minus 1,000.
Yeah, and he had Jake Hadley last week, and he also had Katana, and he also had, I think he's had Robles as well, so he's getting destroyed in the fucking...
Well, we appreciate the $2. I'm surprised you have anything left. And then a $4.99 from Nicholas Barnum. Nicholas just doling them out today. Let's secure this bag this weekend.
Oh, my God. He literally is the patron of both AIDS patients and their caregivers. I didn't get to that part. I was reading it, and I was like, he's to be the patron saint of youth and students, placed in all school under the patron of the saint, and then blah, blah, blah. And then for his compassion and courage in the face of incurable diseases, St. Aloysius Gonzaga has become the patron both of AIDS patients and their caregivers. So that was a great donation. I figured immediately when he wrote that, I knew there was going to be something to that, so I looked it up, and I thought it was just like an Italian type thing or whatever, but that was great. That's incredible depth there. I like that.
That's what that follow-up was about.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nicholas. Prayers for you, Ange. Keep great. Guys, anybody new here, I genuinely don't have AIDS. I am not sick. Jacob just said it one day.
Are you willing to take a blood test?
Yes. Yeah, I am.
Aren't you scared what else you might actually find on that blood test?
No, yeah, what? That I'm fucking a physical specimen?
We went to fucking Vegas, and you almost couldn't even get an IV.
Okay,
your blood pressure was
let me clear that up. Let me clear that up. First of all, she said the blood pressure was borderline. Second of all, severely excuse me.
She said, kind of in range still, so we'll go ahead.
No, she said it is in range.
They had to call a different doctor and get a second opinion so you could get an IV. Opinion. There wasn't some other doctor on that screen?
That was the only doctor. The people there in person were nurses. It's just a doctor that just gives her
the nurses were like, I got to double check with
the nurses
doc.
Always have to clear with the doc.
And
first of all, there's a HIPAA violation.
They literally said
Jacob.
it. They literally said it, and then I think only if I actually say the number, which I'm not going to do that for you. But I think they said it, and the doctor literally went, "What was it?"
None of that is true. Listen, we went out in Vegas. When I drink like an adult man. So I woke up dehydrated as shit. And when you're dehydrated, your blood pressure is elevated. Had a whole bunch of salty stuff before bed, which also elevates your blood pressure. Jacob needed an IV because he was thrown up all night because he can't handle his liquor like a child. So then I was like, yeah, I'll get an IV with you because I'm supportive Ange. And that's when they checked the blood pressure, and that's when she was like, hey, this isn't great. But they did it anyway, and I felt fine, and Jacob bounced back after not being able to hand a couple of high notes. Some of us are built different. Next up, at UFC 308, we have Abus Magomedov taking on Bruno Ferreira. Abus Magomedov, 26-6 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that decision win.
To prevent dehydration, people with
barley
HIV should drink plenty of fluids, especially clear liquids like water, ginger ale, or peppermint or ginger tea. Sports drinks can also help, but they contain sugar, which can lead to diarrhea. It's best to drink fluids between meals to avoid speeding up digestion.
Okay. Bruno Ferreira, 12-1 in his career, 4-1 in his last 5, coming off back-to-back knockout wins. And this is an interesting matchup that has a lot of people split. Abus Magomedov is a versatile striker. Pretty big guy, tall, lean. He has wrestling if he needs it. Pretty sneaky power. And that's because it never looks like he's throwing big shots, but he can put people down. He's a long-rangey striker, does a good job using that length to counter-strike and keep people at the end of his strikes. He will throw everything from tight hooks to head kicks and be hittable. But even though he can be hittable, and even if he is on the wrong side of some exchanges, he'll look to wrestle. He'll quickly shoot a double leg, try to get it to the ground. He's coming off that bounce-back win over Warley Alves, where he did live up to the last name and wrestled heavy. Taking on Bruno Ferreira, just short, stocky, fast, powerful guy. He's light on his toes, constantly mixing up, bouncing around, and then firing in all sorts of attacks. He'll bounce on those toes, and as I mentioned, that helps him come in and out of the pocket. Even though he is fast, even though he's a powerful striker, he can be low volume early because he doesn't just immediately look to mix it up. He'll wait for his shots. He'll look to manage range. He'll try to find a rhythm. He's got okay BJJ, very powerful takedowns if he decides to shoot them, but he's definitely a striker and he only grapples if he absolutely needs to. The question is always, and I said this on the quick picks, just how bad is Abus? Because he had one win in the UFC, and the UFC was like, shoot this dude to the top. And they gave him a main event with Sean Strickland, who stopped him. Then they're like, all right, you didn't beat Sean Strickland, but here's a grappler, a good grappler in Kyle Barallo, and he lost that fight too. And now we're in a situation where he lost those 2 fights, 2 actual good guys at this weight class. Then he fought an old man in Warley Alves, squeaks out a decision. So where is Abus Magomedov in his career? Is he a fraud? Is he not a fraud? Is he good? Is he not? And we're going to find out in this fight because Bruno Ferreira is dangerous as shit. And he will wait for his opportunity, find it, close the gap, and then give it a good old try. He's going to close that distance, light on the toes, and bomb away. He's either going to connect or he's not. I think he connects. Bruno Ferreira is going to be the pick here, but obviously not the most confident pick I've ever had in my life, but I think Bruno can get it done. I think Abus doesn't like pressure, and Bruno's going to give him some pressure. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I don't think Bruno's that good. Obviously, he's got power, and if he lands the power, he can knock people out. He also gets hit. This is a guy that was getting basically lit up by Dustin Stoltzfus. He was taken down by Dustin Stoltzfus. I know he's like a national judo whatever, and you saw him try to use a little bit of a hip toss when he was getting taken down. But against good, decent wrestlers, that just does not work. And Abus is a good wrestler. You saw it against Warley. He actually proved a lot of stuff. He proved he has good cardio because you say barely squeaked by. He dominated that fight. It was 30-27.
I like to,
I mean, he basically mauled Warley and showed good, end-to-end, bell-to-bell cardio. And if he brings in a wrestling game plan, you saw how easily Dustin was able to take down and control Bruno. And not only was he taking down Bruno, when Bruno got up, about 3 minutes of grappling, Bruno looked like he was about to fucking die. There was a reason why he started throwing like wild shit, because he knew he was starting to fade. He knew Dustin was landing stuff, and he got taken down again. It was going to be an issue. That's when people start doing the weird spinning wild shit, and he ended up hurting a guy like Dustin who, I love Dustin. He was a former Lock of the Week as well, but he is what he is. He's been a chinny guy in the past, but Dustin was looking good in that fight. Got the takedowns, was landing good shots. Abus is even longer than Dustin, can stay at range with that front kick, keep Bruno away, and when Bruno gets close, I think those level changes are going to be there. If you're looking at skill for skill, I think Abus has an opportunity to look like a minus 500 favorite in this fight, because if he gets the wrestling going early, Bruno is going to gas, and Abus could be able to find a finish. Even in the striking, I think his length is going to be fine. In this type of fight, Bruno's going to be a little bit desperate, wide with those shots, and I actually like Abus a lot in this fight. I think he has an opportunity it's a buy low spot. I understand that Bruno is a dangerous guy. If Abus just stays out of the pocket, she will just point him, and then I don't think Bruno's got more than 4 minutes of cardio, so I'm going Abus. I bet it, and I think he can look like a fucking minus 400 or 500 favorite in this one.
Yeah, listen, I'm picking Bruno. I agree he's probably first round or bust. Like, that's it. He could absolutely sleep Abus in the first round. He absolutely can. But if it goes beyond that, even though it's a battle of who has less cardio, frankly, Abus at least has the wrestling backup plan, which will just exhaust Bruno even more. I think Bruno can get it done early. Might be a Gregory Rodriguez situation all over again. We'll see what happens. No bet for me, though. Jakey Boy's a little more confident. He does have bets.
He struggled against the long-rangey guys before.
Sure. I don't disagree, but he also came back and made it happen. He had an issue with Nursultan Ruzaboyev, who I think is very good, and he ate one. He didn't, it wasn't, obviously that guy's long and lean, and that did it, but he ate one. It's not like he was getting dotted up from the outside. It was just whap, and that was the end of it, but.
It's just a shame, Abus is not known to do that.
$8,400 in DraftKings Fantasy. If you're as confident as Jakey Boy is, that is phenomenal value. $7,800 for Bruno Ferreira. If you think he gets that early knockout, if he's Sean Strickland's Abus with forward pressure and then a late finish, then that makes a lot of sense for you. You can unlock the DraftKings picks, the plays, the optimizer. You can unlock the FanDuel plays. You can unlock the prize picks, the underdog. You can unlock every single pick, bet, round line, lean, and everything else that we do right now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's freaking $10 for an entire month. And if you don't believe me, you should believe Combat Chameleon. $1.99. Guys, join premium. It's $10 freaking $. Thank you, Combat Chameleon.
Like the video if you haven't already.
We've got 800 people here, so hopefully we
Oh
have
my
800
God.
likes.
Like the video if you haven't already. We'd really appreciate that. Even if you don't want to become a premium member, that really does help. Not quite as much, but it does help a lot.
Seth Otto, $1.99 super chat. Look up the top 5 states with AIDS. Let me know what you found. I did look it up. California, Texas, and Florida. So 2 or 3.
The old people all.
I think it's a different.
Did you know that nursing homes are just a cesspool of
that I
sexually
did
because
they just get after it in there.
Yeah. There's a fuck. You're dying anyway. Fucking what's a few blisters?
Oh God, sores they call them because they're old.
Why does it feel like you've had an outbreak before? The way you reacted to that.
We're describing old people having STDs. So of source, I was like, ooh.
That was like I know that feeling. Those blisters are rough.
Never. And if I did, that means I had plenty of sex.
You don't have herpes.
I do not. Never have.
Well, obviously, because you don't get rid of herpes, it's forever, Angela. You can't just say never have.
Well, the people who have herpes simplex, they get a cold sore, and then it's like, oh, it's nothing. And then it goes away.
Herpes what?
Herpes, I think it's simplex or simplex.
So you know medical definitions.
You know how I know? You know how I know? I'll tell you how I know.
I'll tell you how I know.
This girl I went to school with. So, who sings "Your Body's a Wonderland"? John Mayer. John Mayer's from He's from Fairfield, Connecticut.
He's from Indiana.
No, he's from Fairfield, Connecticut. He's from around the corner.
Well, Abe Lincoln grew up in Indiana.
Would you shut up? He is from Fairfield, Connecticut. I grew up in Newtown, Connecticut, right around the corner. So he came back and he was blown up. He did a concert, and one of my friends made out with him, and she always had cold sores. So we're like, you gave him fucking herpes. And she's like, it's herpes simplex, and so that's I heard that when we were at 22 years old, and I've never forgotten.
You know, there's I think it's like 4 out of every 5 people I've had mouth herpes. I've never had a cold sore.
I've never gotten just like a cold sore. I've certainly like in jiu-jitsu bite my lip real hard, and then that turns into something. But I've never had like a just straight up like cold sore.
I bet.
All right, we got to break this shit down. Next up. At UFC 308, we have Mateusz Rebecki taking on Myktybek. That is how you pronounce that. Myktybek. Orolbai. Mateusz Rebecki, 19-2 in his career. 4-1 in his last 5. He's coming off his first UFC loss, taking on Myktybek Orolbai. 13-1 in his career, 5-0 in his last 5 on a nice 8-fight win streak. This is absolutely, without question, a battle of the grapplers. Both these dudes looking to do the same thing, and they have very similar styles. Orolbai, fun grappler. He's going to entertain the striking for a little bit, then fully commit to the wrestling. His wrestling, his grappling pressure, it's all nonstop. Plenty of cardio, plenty of power, and a good chin. Look at that thing. This guy walked out of a cave an hour and a half ago. Anytime you get somebody whose forehead sticks out farther than their eyebrows, you know that dude's had a good chin on him. The striking has been steadily improving. He even had a knockdown in his last fight. He's coming off that win over Elvis Brenner, where the wrestling was spectacular, but did get swept kind of easily a few times. Taking on Mateusz Rebecki. He's also a relentless grappler. He's going to march forward. He'll bomb giant 1-2s, and then he'll just start diving at legs. Even though he's a grappler, he'll hang around for a striking match as well. Every single punch he throws, whether it's a jab or an overhand, is with intent. And if he gets you to the ground, he is looking for a finish. He can be reckless, which leaves him open both to be taken down and if he's on top looking for control, he creates too much space and people slide out. Good cardio considering his pace. But he is sloppy and his cardio did fail him in his last fight. He looked okay early, completely gassed, and then was finished. Rebecki's good. Rebecki is somebody that we've bet on. I think he's been in a safety parlay or 2 in the past, and we've all been good. He's also someone that I think can sneak out an upset here over Myktybek. Myktybek's good offensively, but defensively it's different. And a lot of times you get 2 very good high-level wrestlers. It's not even about who's the better wrestler is. It's usually about who shoots first. Because whoever shoots first is going to get to the leg, and if you get a takedown, you get a takedown. It's much harder to defend a takedown than it is to finish a takedown. I do think Myktybek Orolbai will be more inclined to shoot first. I think he's going to come forward. I think he's going to wrestle hard. He's going to wrestle early, where Rebecki might be biting down and banging away. Rebecki's cardio failed him in his last fight. That was kind of uncharacteristic of him, but it did happen. And in this fight, if it's more the same, Myktybek Orolbai's cardio is going to go for days. Myktybek is going to be the pick. I'm deciding how confident I am or am not with that, but he is going to be the pick. What do you think, Jakey boy?
I think Orolbai looks like Ryan Gosling.
Sure. From 100 BC.
I think they could be brothers. I think they're
From
both,
the cave cartoon, when the cave movies they drew on the walls. He's that Ryan Gosling.
Encino Man?
Yeah. He's
Encino Man if Ryan Gosling played it instead of Brendan Fraser.
Yeah.
If Ryan Gosling was the Encino Man, caveman, it'd be
Myktybek Orolbai.
Oh shit.
Who do you think wins this fight, Mister? I got completely off track and forgot what I was doing.
Yeah, I like Orolbai, and I'm actually pretty confident in this fight. I understand that Rebecki is going to be live early, and people like what he brings early in the fight with the crazy pressure, with the power, maybe be able to get a takedown or whatever. I don't think he's going to finish a guy like Orolbai. I think we both agree that Orolbai is a tough son of a bitch, especially early in the fight. Maybe if he starts getting sloppy in the third round versus a different opponent, that would be an opportunity, right? Because you saw in the Brenner fight, everything was like, uh-oh, like is this fight starting to turn a little bit? But Rebecki showed in his last fight that once you get him on the ground and you start making him actually scramble and work hard in the grappling, he will start to fade. I mean, he was lucky to even survive the second round of that last fight. He was done, mounted, getting elbowed. And if you look at this guy Orolbai, he is a tough dude. He can level change underneath pressure. He can wrestle hard. He can scramble hard. He's a team alpha male guy, and you just saw how good those people are scrambling. That's why I tried to tell you guys with the lock of the week, Darren Elkins. I said, yeah, he might get in situations, but he will fucking out-scramble anybody. And Orolbai is in the same camp. You got to imagine him and Elkins just going back and forth. You saw how hard Elkins makes people work and can scramble out of situations. Orolbai's the same way. He's not going to stay there. He's not going to be on his back any type of way like that. He's got good striking, really good ground and pound. And once he advanced positions in the second, third round against Rebecki, even if Rebecki is having success and wins the first round, I still think he fades hard enough to where he's getting finished in the second or the third versus a guy like Orolbai. He's just too tough, too relentless, and I don't see Rebecki getting him out of the first. If he doesn't get him out of the first, he loses this fight. So I'm going Orolbai. I mean, Rebecki got the fucking cunt beat out of him.
He got beat pretty bad. He did get beat pretty bad in his last fight. And anybody who saw the Instagram story, that's not me. There was a picture of Rebecki in the hospital from his last fight. Somebody put my face on it. Yeah, that's my face on Rebecki's head and body in the hospital.
I mean, you can say whatever you want, but that's the shirt I got you for your birthday a few years ago.
It's black.
This was after one of your treatments. You were throwing up a little bit. We gave you a cherry popsicle because your throat was hurting, right? And you kind of threw it up. Sure. The wisdom teeth, dribbled down the face type of stuff. So, keep praying for Angelo. This was a rough weekend for him, but I think you're going to be all right.
So you made it your story. I just added it to the We Want Pick story, and I got multiple messages like, dude, are you okay? What happened? And I did not sense sarcasm. I think people genuinely were like, oh, my goodness. T's and P's, baby. T's and P's.
That's the actual picture, but...
Yeah, Jesus Christ, dude, he got mangled in that fight. Holy shit!
Now imagine Orolbai on top of you. That was a Brazilian.
Not Elvis Brenner. Yeah.
Well, it wasn't Elvis Brenner. It was.
Well, sorry,
Diego,
it was. Diego Ferreira. Yeah. We're both on the Myktybek Orolbai side. He's a guy. $9,100. We talked about not Javid, Farid. We talked about Farid Basharat, his $9,400 price point or whatever the hell he was. Myktybek Orolbai at $9,100, a guy that's going to be all in on the wrestling, who could find a finish. That's the route you got to go.
You saw he struggled to try to get that ground and pound off a little bit against a guy like Els Brenner, but Els Brenner is one of those really good off your back, switching his hips. He had to be really careful not to fall into big ground. You see it a lot with the big ground and pound falling into a triangle, that armbar, that type of situation. So he couldn't really get the ground and pound off. If he gets, you saw Rebecki flat on his back. I mean, he's not throwing up triangles and arm bars. He's gonna be able to stay. He's gonna be able to stay square on his hips and really lay the lumber down with the elbows, I think so. That's why his eyes look like that. Because
$9,100. Myktybek Orolbai will be in my DraftKings fantasy lineup, and there will be some action on him. If you want to check out all the picks, the bets, the round line leans, artificial intelligence, and everything for an entire month, it's only $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. At the top, you're going to unlock UFC 308, UFC Edmonton, UFC Vegas 100, then cap it off with UFC 309. Couple of super chatterooskies. Tron B. Love you guys. Thanks for helping me get my daughter's Halloween costume. No problem, bud.
Oh, I think that's because you were inspired. I think she dressed up as Shrek. I want to go like Aunt. They was like, I want to be Angelo. It's like, well, we can buy a Shrek costume.
And just, yeah. All right. Throw some black and a hat on it.
Add a fucking tribal on it.
Michael Brennan, $4.99. Going with Rebecki based off the lack of distance between Orolbai's eyes. It's unfortunate. And making fun of people for how they look's not cool because they can't help it. But, like, sometimes it just is what the fuck it is, man. And I think he's like...
How many fights do you think Cyclops has ever lost? Because I don't remember him ever losing one.
Who's Cyclops? Oh, the comic book character? No. Next up at UFC...
Get out of my swamp.
Get out of my swamp. My mouth was open. I love the Shrek movies. Next
what was
up...
that last one? Hold on.
That was when they're walking up the mountain and he farted in Donkey's face. And Donkey's like, my mouth was open. That's my Donkey impression. Next up at UFC 308, we got Geoff with a G, Neal, taking on Raffael dos Anjos. Geoff Neal, 15-6 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5, riding back-to-back losses. Taking on Raffael dos Anjos, 32-16 in his career, 2-3 in his last 5, also on a 2-fight skid. And this is a sort of a battle of the names, a battle of the olds to cap off the prelim card. Geoff Neal, good striker, powerful guy, solid volume, good takedown defense. Not the most technical guy, but his power, his aggression gets him through most situations. Geoff does like to dictate the pace. He likes to handle the range. He likes to worry and work into the exchanges. He doesn't like backing up. Because if he can stay at kicking range and he can use those kicks to set up the punches, he has a ton of success. But if you get in his face and you back him up and he's on his heels, then he can have some issues. He gets frustrated and sometimes tired. He's coming up that close decision loss to Ian Gary, where the volume was the difference. He's taking on Raffael dos Anjos, RDA, former lightweight champion of the world. Incredibly well-rounded guy. He is a grappler at heart, but obviously he's been around this fight game for a very, very long time. 47 fights. He's 39 years old. He's learned some skills. He's very, very comfortable with the striking. Rafael Cordeiro has been working with him for years, and because he's comfortable with his striking, he can trick some people into thinking, I'm not going to shoot a takedown, but then he does. He's coming off that loss to Mateusz Gamrot where he was taken down 11 times, but in typical Mateusz Gamrot style, he dropped his ass. Geoff Neal should win this fight. He's much younger, hits much harder, has good takedown defense at 80-some-odd%, but no real offense, or no offense to him as well. He would be the least accomplished person that RDA has lost to recently. And I'm not trying to be a dick about it. Just, I'm trying to highlight how good RDA's career has been. He's beating he's fighting former world champions. He's losing to people at the absolute top of the food chain. And Geoff Neal's a dangerous guy. Geoff Neal's a good guy. But he's had some fights that shouldn't have been as close as they were.
You think he would have beat Conor?
RDA? Man, that was prime Conor. Poor guy missed his payday. That was prime Conor. But, I mean, that's the fight that Nate Diaz beat Conor in.
Right.
Literally, that's the fight. If you guys don't know, Conor was supposed to fight RDA for the belt. RDA backed out. He got hurt. So then Nate Diaz steps up. They move it up to 170, and then Nate Diaz beats Conor McGregor because Conor had 1 minute of cardio.
Changed everything. It's crazy how something can change the course of
the whole
everything.
sport.
Like, it's crazy because obviously people knew Nate Diaz, but that was just his meteoric rise. And I mean, literally, Rafael dos Anjos getting hurt.
He broke his foot. Actually, it was his toe.
He
broke his toe.
Nate Diaz's entire fucking life.
It is crazy. It is crazy. And he might have beat him because of the wrestling and the grappling. I don't think he beats Geoff Neal, though, because I do think he needs to wrestle. I think he needs to grind to get it done. He's not going to win a striking match. And Geoff Neal's got pretty good takedown defense. This is going to be an interesting fight, though. I'm just going to watch. I'm probably not going to spend any money. I can't really trust two guys on the skid that they're on at these odds. If these odds were closer, we'd have a whole different world. But maybe RDA plus 3.5. You might be able to sneak out around. Pretty durable guy. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I'm all over Geoff Neal. I think this is probably a boxing match. I think Geoff Neal keeps his standing with his takedown defense. He's known to have pretty good takedown defense, and Raffael is, he's got decent takedowns, decent wrestling, but I don't think that's a game plan he's gonna be able to stick to. I think he's gonna come in and try to box with Geoff Neal, and Geoff Neal's a better boxer, so it's it should be pretty cut and dry. I do worry a little bit with the inactivity sometimes with Geoff Neal. He kind of has a little bit of that Chris Curtis in him, to where you saw it against Ian Gary. He's kind of just following Ian Gary around and getting frustrated because Ian won't engage with him. But Rafael Dos Anjos isn't that type of guy, right? He's not a backup and kind of dance around type of guy. I think he's going to stay in Geoff Neal's face, give Geoff Neal the fight that he wants, and it should come down to a boxing match or a kickboxing match, and Geoff Neal should be able to beat Rafael Dos Anjos in kickboxing 10 out of 10 times, I would imagine. So I like Geoff Neal.
Yeah, and his takedown defense is 87, not 57% or 81 or something like that. He has spectacular takedown defense, and RDA is a blown-up lightweight, and he's getting older. It's harder and harder to cut that weight, trying to reinvent himself in a new weight class. Had some success. Durable, tough-ass guy. I mean, Fiziev put him away, but that was late, and that was after a long, long beating. Should be an interesting fight. I'll be looking forward to it, but I don't think I'm going to spend any money here. Maybe I'll look at the props a little closer, can trust RDA to stay tough, survive. But
by the way, because somebody put it before in the chat, this could be I've said all year, all the time, never bet against Brazil. Always bet against. The Brazilians have been having like some crazy success. If you look at this card, they may all fucking lose.
I think they do all lose, unfortunately. Because a couple of them I want to win.
I think I picked against all of them. I think I bet against a few of them as well. So this could be a Brazilian slaughter, but we'll see what happens.
We will find out. And if you want to find out what our bets are, what the picks are, what the artificial intelligence says, check it out now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. It's $10. $10. I went to Dutch Bros today, got a coffee. It was $8.50. For $10, you get an entire month's worth of premium membership.
What's your coffee look like?
I had never been to Dutch Bros. I like iced coffee. So I said,
I bet you do, dude.
Well, I wake up every morning and I drink a hot cup of just black Keurig coffee. Then I drop the girls off to school, and sometimes I'm like, hey, let me get another coffee, and then I'll get an iced coffee. You don't even drink coffee.
Never even tried it.
Nerd. Yeah.
Never even tried it. It's the best. I say it every time.
The
it's
smell
the best
is
smell.
fantastic.
Oh my God. Dude, the best too is when you're in the McDonald's drive-thru and you can smell the McDonald's morning inside of a.
I hate McDonald's breakfast, so I don't go to McDonald's.
But it smells like a mixture of like breakfast food and coffee. Like it's just like that's one of the best smells ever is inside of McDonald's kitchen in
a diner. You get me to a diner, I hear those plates clanking around, that big ass plastic.
And President Trump knows now what the kitchen smells like at McDonald's. Right? He was in there working hard, serving food. Good for him, huh? Who you voting for?
My favorite audio of all time is President Trump, and it's like this redneck woman crying hysterically. It's like, please save us. And they take that audio and they put it over things. I saw one that was like Taco Bell no longer making the double-decker taco. It was like, President Trump. I crack up every time I hear it. But I don't laugh at the $50. I'm happy to give it to you because if I'm giving you $50, that means I got money. If you go to WeWantPicks.com/bets, we have affiliate links set up with multiple sportsbook partners. And you click on the link, you sign up, you make an account, you make a deposit, they pay me. And then I take off $50 and I give it right back to you. WeWantPicks.com/bets. Use the link, sign up, make a deposit, and get yourself a couple of buccarinos. Just a reminder.
You guys want all the early action, a lot of the early action, the early props, everything. If you guys didn't know, when you guys are only on DraftKings and FanDuel and stuff, and you guys are waiting all week for props and stuff, if you guys want the early props, BetOnline is pretty much the first to the market with all their lines, with all their props, and we have a link for that. So you can go to WeWantPicks.com and sign up for BetOnline. That's the only book that I use. I think Angela might use it, go back and forth with a couple.
Sometimes I'll use BetU. So Jacob's correct. BetOnline is probably the best sports book for
it's
betting on UFC.
It's the only book I use, and I have no issues with anything.
Yes.
They got takedown props. The only thing is you can't parlay props
sometimes,
and stuff like that.
Yes.
But as a book, they're easy to deal with. The customer service. I actually just hit Diamond 1 there, which is $1 million in bets on BetOnline. So good for me on that. I'm a
That must have been
Diamond One
not
customer,
$1 million won, just $1 million in and out.
in bets.
Yeah.
In and out. So, but their customer service is great. The crypto depositing is very easy and stuff like that. So
The only time I
don't pay me to say
venture,
that. They don't pay us to say that. So.
no, it's affiliate. It's not. They don't pay us for anything other than if you use a link, which is why I give you money to encourage you to do that. The only time I'll venture away from them is I'll go to Bet US. And that's because Bet Online will lock certain parlays early. Like if you wanted to parlay, what's his name right now? Rinat Fakhretdinov. They're going to wait till the line stabilizes. So I actually tried to go to Bet US today to bet on Rinat in a parlay. And they don't even have the line. So it's like, all right, this is why Bet US is the best. But we will be at the Cosm watching this main card. We'll be there from like 12:30 to 4:30, whenever it ends. If you're there, come say hi. It's right here in the Colony in North Texas. They call it Dallas. It's not Dallas. It's the Colony. But it's I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to experience what the Cosm is, and I'm looking forward to eating all their food. And if you want to send something, it's fight day this weekend. We'll be filming a vlog. I'll be filming at Cosm. We'll have some mail to open ahead of time. And if you want to sneak something in, we'll read the letters. We'll do all the things. We Want Picks, P.O. Box 406 in Prosper, Texas, 75078. I've already got a nice little pile over here to my left. Here's the next 4 cards, including this card is UFC 308. Then we get UFC Edmonton, UFC Vegas 100, and UFC 309. And I'm mentioning all these cards because if you become a premium member and you unlock all the picks, the bets, the tools, you get every single one of these cards, $10, WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. The shining star, outside of how spectacular our bets have been, is the Data Analyzer. And this is a robust tool that we built, coded from the ground up, that has everything you can need to do your own research. What is that stupid face for? What did you see?
Someone said look up LLLEZ_ on Instagram. You'll be happy. And is she a fighter too?
Okay.
Hold on. No, seriously. Is she a fighter too?
William Gearing with the $1.99 super chat. We know you both are Trump boys. Let's get this W. We are not talking politics on here. That just does not end well. I don't care what side you're on. But thank you for the super chat. I'm moving on. Here we go. You can.
Who's this white boy?
He's just like simping on some chick on Instagram right now.
45
We're
weeks
about
ago.
to hit the main card.
Wait, she is a fighter too?
She's
Oh
not
my
fighting this
God.
weekend. She's not fighting this weekend.
She's fighting for my love this weekend.
Okay. First up at the UFC 308 main card, we have Shara Bullet Magomedov taking on Armen Petrosyan. Shara Magomedov 14-0, undefeated in his career with 11 stoppages. Armen Petrosyan 8-3 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off a submission loss to world champion grappler Rodolfo Vieira. And we've broken down Shara Bullet a few times. He's a one-eyed gap tooth with a homeless beard, but very good striking. He popped onto the scene last year. He was touted as a wild man, an insanely dangerous striker. And yes, he has 14 fights with 11 knockouts, but knockouts have not come easy to him at the UFC level. He's had 3 fights. 2 of them have been decisions. The only finish he got was against the guy on 4 days' notice who had to fly to the other side of the world, who gassed out halfway through that round. He's insanely powerful, though, with those kicks. He's very fast. He'll mix up some striking techniques. Takedown defense is just okay. His offensive takedowns are non-existent. Don't even attempt to look for that. And he's coming off yet another decision and a letdown of a fight. He's taking on the technical Armen Petrosyan. Fun striker, professional kickboxing background on his side as well. He can be a bit of a brawler at times, and he does rely on his chin, but he can just fight with clean, solid technique. We saw that in his fight with CLD. He lands an impressive almost 6 significant strikes per minute. He's hit with fewer than 3. And he does not have the best takedown defense on his side as well, but he has incredible scramble and get-up skills. But he did just get submitted by a world champion grappler. And Shara is tricky to break down because he clearly is a very good striker. But he's also not what they told us he would be. We were told this is one of the most dangerous strikers on planet Earth, and that's not what we've gotten. So on one hand, we have been disappointed. The fans have been disappointed in him because he hasn't delivered the insane knockouts that we were promised. On the other hand, he is undefeated. He continues to outstrike everyone he fights. And I came into this wanting to fade him. I came into this wanting to pick Armen. And if you go watch Armen fight CLD, He just used good old-fashioned technique, and he beat the flashy striker. And this could be more of the same, but I am still going to pick Shara here because I just feel like a lot of the hate coming Shara's way and a lot of the doubt coming his way is more from a place of disappointment because we haven't seen him finish people like we were told he could, and less from a place of like actually watching him fight. And I know Jacob did a fucking shit ton of tape study and he wrote a 19-paragraph essay about how to beat Shara, so I'll let you give your piece. But I do think Shara squeaks out another decision where he's just going to kick a shit ton and be faster. What do you think?
Yeah, so I went into this fight knowing that I wanted to fade Shara, so I was already looking for reasons to kind of why I wanted to fade Shara. The number one reason was, as a technical, well-rounded striker, I do believe Armin's the better striker. And you'll hear me a lot of times say, in a mostly striking match, just pick the better striker, and you're going to do well most of the time. Armin is the more well-rounded, technical striker. Right, so that was going to be my pick. Was going to be Armin. I said, let me just make sure. And as I started diving into the film of Shara, and I did write it all out on Twitter. I put it on Instagram as well. I noticed that Shara he's an orthodox fighter with that karate stance. As you guys know, he really enjoys fighting southpaws. Bruno Silva was a southpaw. Michelle Olajaychuk was a southpaw. Even Cerqueira at times switched. I think he's an orthodox fighter, but was switching to southpaw at times as well. And when you watch Shara against these southpaws, he really likes that open stance to where he can really use that back leg effectively. And you'll see him just blast these kicks over and over, high kicks, body kicks. He can get the left leg involved, but he really likes that freedom and the footwork of facing a southpaw, which was the Bruno Silva. Michelle, you saw Michelle try to chase down Shara, but against the southpaw, he can do that circling off his backside and backpedal because there's no power hand there, and he can also bounce off that back foot to throw those big power shots. When you watch Cerqueira, when he was switching to orthodox against Shara, and Cerqueira is not a good fighter at all. He's not. He's an okay fighter, but a striker. Enormous. He's not known for his striking. But when you watch that fight and you saw Cerqueira start to switch to orthodox, you saw Shara kind of freeze. The only strikes he ever really threw against Cerqueira when he was in an orthodox stance were leg kicks. He would use that back leg to kind of blast those leg kicks. If you watch Armin, when CLD was trying to throw those leg kicks, he's really good at timing leg kicks with his hands. He struggled a little bit against CLD timing those leg kicks because CLD had an 8-inch reach advantage and actually has some pretty good head movement and some defense. Shara is really lazy with his defense, especially when somebody is striking from the orthodox stance. Watch the very beginning of that strike. He pressures Shara with the orthodox stance. Shara can't circle out because he doesn't want to circle to the power hand against an orthodox fighter. Lands a nice 1-2 right down the middle because Shara's kind of frozen against the fence because he can't circle out. I believe that Armin, with his orthodox style as the better striker, is going to kind of freeze that free-flowing striking that we've seen against southpaws in Bruno, in Michelle, against Cerqueira at times. And he's going to freeze that movement and really put some hands on Shara. He's got really good hands. He knows how to counter the kicks very well. He's a very high-level striker. And Shara, when he gets kind of frozen against the fence, he will get kind of desperate with his hands, and his striking defense is fucking terrible. So I don't think you're going to see that free-flowing Shara that you've seen against these southpaws. I think he's going to be a little bit more frozen. When he gets against the fence and he can't really move, you're going to see Armin land some shots. He had CLD really hurt in that second round. And kind of smoked a guy who fights kind of similar to Shara, who had an 8-inch reach advantage. Shara's only going to have like a 2 or 3, I think. And Shara definitely doesn't have the defense that CLD had, and CLD got fucking cracked as well. So pick the better striker in a mostly striking matchup. I think Shara's going to struggle against this orthodox fighter in Armin, and I'm all over Armin.
Yeah, and this should be an interesting fight for sure. I think I came to it wanting to pick Armin. Like I just saw it on paper, just saw the names. I was like, I've been looking for a reason to fade Shara. This might be it. But then I went back and I watched the Shara fights. It's like, man, like he is winning these fights like pretty clearly, honestly. So it's just like I just have this feeling
with that. The only thing I was worried about before I did the southpaw breakdown, and the reason why I started rewatching fights even more, was I was worried that this was going to be a decision fight. And Shara is active, even if he's moving backwards. He's always boom, 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 boom. Yeah. But when you watch him against those orthodox fighters, he's just not active. He literally will just freeze, kind of throw leg kicks and try to strike. But every time he tried to strike, that's when Cerqueira was able to level change. And Arman actually has got some decent takedowns.
He'll shoot a takedown too, yeah.
Yeah, he's got, and Shara has such a hole in the grappling. I wouldn't be surprised if Arman mixes in some grappling as well. I think this is a good fight for Arman.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. I'm glad the UFC put it together because they need to know if Shara's good or not too before they fully invest everything they got in this guy. Because he has been, listen, this year, 2024, this is Alex Pereira's year. But Shara was being put into a position with the very quick turnarounds. He was fighting 2-3 times in a couple of months, and like they threw him on ABC. Like Shara's a guy that the UFC like wants to push a little bit. He looks the part. The guy looks like an absolute psychopath. His fight record tells you he's knocking people out. He just hasn't done it in the UFC. I'm looking forward to this fight. Should be a good fight. I'm not going to touch it in DraftKings Fantasy. I don't think it's highly scored. I think it's going to be, if Shara wins, backing up, point fighting, landing more kicks. If Arman wins, moving forward and just landing a little cleaner as Shara's backing up. I think it's a decision either way. I don't think we're going to see a finish, so I'm not going to touch DraftKings Fantasy. But if you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the tools, the artificial intelligence, the round line leans, the DraftKings plays, FanDuel, Prize Picks, Underdog, all of it. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. $10 for every single thing. We don't tier it out. We don't play any stupid-ass games. $10. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top.
Wait for Arman to land those big shots off the leg kicks of Shara. I guarantee it happens. Up against the fence, he's going to try and blast the leg kick, get fucking smoked by a right hand, panic a little bit, and we'll see what happens after that.
It should be fun because when Bruno Silva fought Shara, he was just shooting takedowns. He didn't want to engage. So, like, there will be some
Michelle tried, but he was just chasing him. I mean, he couldn't get it out.
Yeah, and Michelle sucks at grappling. So, yeah. Next up, at UFC 308, we have everyone's favorite villain, Magomed Ankalaev, taking on Alexander Racek. Magomed Ankalaev, 19-1 in his entire career. 3-1-1 in his last 5. He's coming off that rematch over Johnny Walker. Taking on Alexander Racek, 14-4 in his career. 2-3 in his last 5. He's coming off that KO loss at UFC 300. We all know Ankalaev at this point because everybody wanted to scream and yell that he's the one who deserves the title shot. He should have fought Alex Pereira, not Khalil Roundtree. Magomed Ankalaev is a long kickboxer, uses range well. He's got some pretty good kicks. He's got power in both his hands and his feet. Pretty versatile in his attack style. Striking defense is there. He can be a little low volume offensively, but if he gets into trouble striking, he'll go ahead. He'll shoot some takedowns. Only has one loss in his career. Literal last second submission to Paul Craig. And he's coming off that title earning win, which obviously did not earn a title shot, over Johnny Walker. He beat the chinniest guy in the entire division. Congratulations. He's taking on Alexander Racek. Dynamic strike.
Racek.
Whatever. The dynamic strike. He uses his reach to out-technique people. He will out-decision you. He mixes in kicks really well, and that's a key point here. He has no issues transitioning from those leg kicks to head kicks while moving forward or backwards. And while he does have power, he likes to fight on the outside, not necessarily look for a brawl. Low volume, technical striker who uses footwork and distance to control. He was having a ton of success against Erie at UFC 300 and then ultimately got finished. Got a touch of quitting him and a little bit chinny. Before I give you the pick, let me go on I'm going to do this quick. 10-second Magomed Ankalaev rant. Everybody was up in arms when Khalil was announced as the guy who should be fighting Alex Pereira. People talk about they're protecting Alex. They're keeping him away from Ankalaev. Ankalaev's the number one. Here's a couple of things about Ankalaev. First of all, he had a title shot. He already had a crack at the title. They gave him, they're not trying to keep him away from the belt. They gave him an opportunity to win the belt, and he blew it. And before you guys, there's a couple of die-hard, ride-or-die Ankalaev people and whatever. Before you start ranting and raving about it was a bad decision, he won that fight, he could barely walk. Old-ass Jan Blachowicz lit Ankalaev's legs up. And Ankalaev did not win the title, even though they gave him a title shot. And his fights since then, since the disappointing title shot, have been against Johnny Walker. And the first time they fought, no contest because he can't control himself, illegal knee. Second time they fought, he finished the chinniest guy in the division in a win that doesn't age well. And everybody's screaming he's the one who should have got the title shot. Khalil Roundtree, 5 fights in a row with 5 knockouts, or 4 knockouts.
Wasn't it supposed to be 10 seconds?
Is this longer than 10 seconds? Oh, so when Tiff says, yeah, you only last a minute? Okay. Point being, anybody screaming and yelling that they're protecting Alex Pereira from Ankalaev, Ankalaev is the one who has had this like insane run of gifted fights. Hey, here's a 40-year-old in a title shot who couldn't do that. Here's the chinniest guy in the division. Couldn't do that. Here's another chinny guy. Oh, you finally did that? Here's a guy in Alexander Rakic who hasn't won a fight in years. He has not won a fight in multiple years. 2 losses in a row. He hasn't won a fist fight since 2021. Ankalaev's going to win this fight. And I hate it. I hate that he's going to win this fight. I have him in a parlay. I hope the parlay misses.
What a fucking pussy, dude.
I hope the parlay misses. I don't want Ankalaev to win. I'm so over that bullshit. Ankalaev is the pick, though. Jacob, why don't you give us your prediction?
I mean, you talk about like how bad this guy is, how much you hate this guy. If I was,
I didn't say he's bad. I didn't say he's bad. I was ranting about the notion.
You couldn't beat a 40-year-old. You couldn't knock out Johnny Walker. You're implying that he's not a talented dude. So fucking just pick against him, dude.
No, my point. The point. I think he wins this fight. My point was the whole he deserves a title shot. He's being protected. Why don't you give us your prediction?
I mean, you say all that. I mean, this is that stuff. You say all that stuff, and then you even bet him as well, and then it's like, so now it's both sides. So
I'm that confident.
If he loses,
I'm happy.
Yeah, you're like, oh yeah, I told you, and then if he wins, you're like,
I didn't tell you. I think he wins, which is why I spent money on it. But I'm happy to lose a bet every now and then, especially against a guy like this. Why don't you give us your opinion instead of worrying about mine?
Yeah, and I know a lot of people like Alexander Rakic, and I don't mind him as well, right? I thought he was going to come in and smoke Yuri because Yuri is not a good fighter, in my opinion. He's a tough dude, and he showed the toughness in that fight. And Rakic's got his excuses. Oh, I had staph. I was on antibiotics. That's why I started fading, all this type of stuff. And a lot of people are going to take that in consideration, be like, oh, he's a powerful guy. Did you see the picture of his back? He's in such good shape. He's gonna come in. He's going to knock it like that. I'm not an Ankalaev fan. I'm not the leader of his fucking fan club, but the guy's good. I mean, he is a good fighter, especially against these wild guys, right? You saw him just handle the wild stuff of Johnny Walker. I'm not saying Alexander Rakic is throwing wild spinning shit and all that stuff that Johnny Walker does, but he likes to get in there. He likes to brawl. He likes to throw heavy. And when you overextend against a guy like Ankalaev, he fucking makes you pay. He will wait. I understand he's boring, right? But there's a reason why he's 19-1 and basically a 20-0 fighter, because he will just kind of wait and make the reads and be patient. And the second you fucking overextend, he's going to make you pay. He's going to punish you. He got his leg beat up against Jan. I have imagined that Rocket's going to come in and, I'm going to throw calf kicks as well. And he's probably going to get lit up trying to do that dumb shit. Ankalaev's too good. He likes facing these guys that are going to get over-aggressive and overswing, and he's going to have something waiting for Rakic. So I'm not a big fan, but I understand the odds here.
I'm surprised they're not wider. Like Alexander Rakic hasn't won a fight in 3 years, and he just got knocked out.
I mean, he was beating Jan. I mean, he was beating Yuri, but it's a different fight than Yuri. Ankalaev is not Yuri.
I completely agree. Far more technical, doesn't really take the risks. And he can wrestle. The wrestling is there if he does somehow find himself in a little bit of trouble. $9,400 in DraftKings Fantasy. I'm split on that. Because he can finish Rakic. I don't know if he will. I don't know what the fight will be. I'm probably going to avoid that $9,400. We got a couple of other spots with some high price tags that I think will score well. Yes, Jacob.
The good news, bad news for Ankalaev, as far as like DraftKings, it's good because he doesn't chase finishes. A lot of times you would worry about a guy chasing finishes if you have money on him. He just kind of lets the finish find itself. But if you're in DraftKings, a guy that kind of lets the finish find itself instead of chasing finishes, it's tough for 9,400.
Yeah, I agree, because he is fine with the decision. He's going to fight a smart fight. He's a smart fighter who doesn't. I mean, he's begging for that title shot. I promise I won't wrestle, but he is a smart fighter. So either way, we are both on the Ankalaev.
Everyone thinks that's an auto win against Poatan. Poatan smokes Ankalaev. I don't give a fuck if he tries to wrestle or not.
Oh, I hope
it's going to be. Here we go again. Fade Alex. Let's see what happens, guys. Dumbasses. Do it again. See what happens. Stupid fucks.
If Ankalaev wins here, part of me will be happy. Like, all right, we never have to hear that bullshit again. And if he loses here, then we never have to hear that bullshit. If he wins here, it's like, do it. I would love to see. I would love to see Alex knocking him out.
Alex
it would be.
Alex
I
is
would
way
love.
he's way too ready at this point. If this was a year and a half ago, all that stuff, but Alex is on a fucking different level, man. I mean, he's gonna come in and Uncle Ive is probably not gonna shoot a takedown, and good fucking luck.
Well, either way, I am interested in this fight. The outcome of this fight matters very, very much for this division. Literally. If Ankalaev loses, then Alex can just do whatever he wants. There's nobody else that makes a ton of sense. And if Ankalaev wins, then we know what the next fight should be, and we can debate about it for months on end. So I'm looking forward to this fight. Anytime you get a fight where the outcome is meaningful, that's a fine fight with me. If you do want to unlock the picks, the bets, the tools, the round line leans, and more, WeWantPicks.com. Click become a member at the top.
Uncle Ive's going to smoke him. He's going to smoke him. He's going to smoke him. All right, well, fade Alex again. Let me know how it goes from fucking next year, guys.
It's crazy. I'm surprised Ankalaev, and maybe it's just the vocal minority, I'm surprised Ankalaev has as big of a fan base as he does. Dude, there's people everywhere screaming and yelling about Ankalaev.
It's very good. I mean, I understand he's very good, guys, but, I mean, so I'm not going to get into it. Fucking good luck. You guys fucking try to fade Alex fucking for, oh, this one's different. Okay.
Yeah, they did say that every fight. Next up, at UFC 308, we have the featured fight of the evening of Lerone Murphy taking on Dan Ige. Lerone Murphy undefeated in his career with half stoppages, half decisions. Taking on Dan 50K Ige, 18-8 in his career, 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that short notice loss to Diego Lopez. And if you're wondering why there's a bunch of thank you Dans and stuff in the comments and the live chats, it's because Jacob and I went to UFC 303 live. We found out after the event started while drinking in the lounge.
VIP lounge.
Yeah, I purposely didn't say it because it sounded fancy.
I fucking paid for VIP. We went to fucking VIP.
We were drinking in the VIP lounge, and we all just found out collectively Brian Ortega's out, Dan Ige is in to save the co-main event. So the fight is happening. Jacob and I are in our seats, and I tried to start a "Let's Go Dan" chant. No, thank you, Dan chant. Sorry. Thank you, Dan. Appreciating money was spent. We're at this event. We almost lost the co-main. But Dan Ige stepped up on hours, not days, hours notice to save it. A couple people appreciated the chant, but it didn't really take off the way I thought it would, and Jacob made fun of me, and now it's a thing.
Well, it's because it wasn't a one-time thing. It was through 20 minutes, it was a 3-round fight, so it was like 25 minutes of fucking
Dad.
Every 3 minutes. Come on, guys. We should be appreciative of Dan.
As we should.
Thank you, Dan. Come on, guys.
Yes.
It's like the second. There's 2 minutes left in the second round. We should be thankful of. I'm like, shut the fuck
and we
up,
should
dude.
Have been.
Shut the
we should
fuck
have been
up.
Thankful.
Oh, you.
Yeah. So I was thankful for Dan, and he had a pretty decent outing. It was obviously wildly short notice, just a couple of hours. Did not plan on getting into a fist fight, and did. He wasn't a backup fighter, wasn't there to corner anybody. He just lives nearby and said, I'll do it. Showed up, lost the first 2 rounds, won the 3rd round to remind us all how tough he is. He's a fantastic kickboxer, good speed, good power, solid BJJ, underrated wrestling. Takedown defense looks low on paper, but he has quite literally fought some of the best people on planet Earth at this weight class for like 5-6 years. He even defended 10 of Bryce Mitchell's takedown attempts. He's a durable guy. Tough night out for most people. And as I mentioned, coming off that insanely short notice loss to Diego Lopez, where he did steal that 3rd round. He's taking on Lerone Murphy, undefeated, very good striker, moves incredibly well, ton of power. He'll light up your body, completely step out of the pocket, move away, reset, and then get after it again. His footwork is very good. He is dangerous on the feet. Takedown defense is listed low as well, but he does do a really good job scrambling up if he is taken down. He's coming off that dominant 5-round win, or main event win, over Edson Barbosa. Lerone Murphy probably wins this fight. He's too clean, defensively sound enough in the grappling to be ridden out. Lerone's ability to mix in striking and wrestling should have Ige guessing. Lerone Murphy's the pick. Both these guys are tough as hell. Over 2.5 is a probably pretty good bet here, but I think Lerone Murphy's just going to continue to do well, and Dan Ige is a perfect test. But this could be, and it probably won't be, but this could be one of those situations where it's like, oh, here's a reminder. There's levels. Like Dan Ige. Remember what Dan Ige did to Damon Jackson? Dan Ige was on a skid, lost a bunch of fights in a row, then just sparked Damon Jackson. We're like, yeah, there are levels to this. I don't think that's going to be Lerone Murphy, though. I think he's just too good, too slick. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, I do appreciate Dan as a fighter. I did appreciate, without being very vocal about it for 25 minutes that he did step up on short notice and say that fight. He was basically getting smoked in that fight. He won the third round, but I think Diego was coasting at that point. He knew he was at 2-0, just didn't want to get in a situation. Listen, Ige is who he is. He's a tough dude. He's probably going to be there for all 3 rounds of this fight. He's always going to be live for that knockout because he does have big power in the pocket. The guy's 4-6 in his last 10. The people he loses to are people like Lerone Murphy. People are just better than him. I just believe that Lerone Murphy is just a cleaner, faster, better striker than Dan Ige. He's probably just going to point from the outside, touch him up with a jab, avoid the big pocket combinations that Dan Ige can catch you in. And I just think the range, the speed, and the dynamic striking of Lerone Murphy is going to be too much. I've tried to fade Lerone Murphy in the past a few different times. I had Barbosa against Lerone Murphy. I was excited on that up kick that almost knocked out Lerone Murphy at the end of that first round, but he handled that fine, was able to recover, came back and absolutely smoked a very fast, dynamic striker in Edson Bosa. I don't think that Dan Ige has that type of speed, and Lerone Murphy didn't have any issues with that type of speed. So I'm actually all over Lerone Murphy here. I respect the toughness of Dan Ige, but what do we say? When you describe somebody as tough, it means they're getting hit, and that means they're not good at anything else. He's well-rounded, but he just, if he was good, you'd say he was good. But instead, you say he's tough. Lerone Murphy's fucking good.
I think Danny is good, but I hear what you're saying. I think Lerone Murphy's just. I think he's just the next generation. A little cleaner, a little faster, a little more slick. Lerone Murphy 14-0. I think he goes 15-0.
This is Kyler Phillips all over again. Kyler Phillips gassed. Lerone Murphy just went 5 hard rounds and no issue. And a lot of times too, when you get tough guys against decision fighters, the decision fighter usually looks pretty good. It's when you get tough guys against people that are used to finishing people. That's when they get in kind of issues. Lerone Murphy is usually a decision fighter. I mean, he's got finishes, but he has no issues of just kind of being better than Dan Ige for 15 minutes. And a lot of times Dan Ige loses because people are just better than him for 15 minutes. Yeah,
saying this is Kyler Phillips all over again is stupid because also Kyler Phillips looked phenomenal in that first round. That first round of that fight against Raffael is exactly what we thought it was going to be.
My money, dude.
I beat the shit out of that guy.
I was going to make, I made, I think $5,000 at the Apex on different parlays and stuff. I would have made an additional $5,000 if Kyler would have won that fight. He was like the last leg on like 4 different parlays. And first round, I was counting my money. I was like, it's going to be a good fucking night, man.
It was funny because he was smoking him, and then obviously got tired. So that comparison's an odd comparison. If you do want to check out all the picks, the bets, the round line leans, and everything else, see if the DraftKings optimizer also thinks Lerone Murphy should probably be faded at $8,900. You can do so now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 for an entire month. And that month includes UFC 308, UFC 309, and the 2 fight nights in between. Quick comment, UFC CA 18 says, tough card for Ange last week. It was, the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? I made money last week. The safety parlay hit at plus money. We're up money. I did well last week. This is an incorrect statement to make. Yeah, Jacob did well. This is just an incorrect statement. This is the problem. There is a difference between picks and fights. And yes, I picked Kyler and was wrong. I picked Michelle and was wrong. But we made money. Is the name of the game not to make money? Is that not the name of the game? To put up winning bets and make money? Would you rather have made money and got a couple of picks wrong or get the picks right and lose money? Not a tough card last week. Great card. 20% return on your investment. Damn, dude. Damn.
You stupid fucking idiot. You
Unbelievable.
Dumb son of a bitch. What I need you to do.
Why'd you pin my comment? Because you're saying incorrect shit. That's why.
I would love.
Smack him.
I would love to just take the back of his head like this. And just
lower it. Lower it. All right, let's go. Jesus, Mary. Next up. At UFC 308, we have the co-main event of the evening, a rebooking from months ago. We got Robert Whittaker and hopefully a healthy, actually shows up, actually makes weight, actually ends up in the cage, Khamzat Chimaev. Robert Whittaker, 26-7 in his career. 3-2 in his last 5. He's coming off that knockout win over Ikram Aliskirov on insanely short notice because Khamzat backed out. He's taking on the undefeated 13-0 Khamzat Chimaev, coming back after a whole slew of random-ass health issues and canceled fights. We all know Robert Whittaker by now, former middleweight champion of the world, one of the most well-rounded guys in this division. He's a diverse striker. He's got great movement. He's got good takedowns. Constantly mixing things up, constantly moving and mobile with his striking patterns. He'll lay out real heavy leg kicks, charge forward, straight at your face. Only losses since 2014 are to Israel Adesanya and Dricus du Plessis, the former best in the world and the current best in the world. Those are the only two people that Robert Whittaker has lost to since 2014. In 10 years, he has only lost to the two best people on the planet. He is one of the best to ever do it at middleweight, but he is sort of stuck in this weird paradox where he lost to the current champion, like probably never going to get back to the belt, but will always be top 3 in the division. Taking on Khamzat Chimaev, the polarizing Khamzat Chimaev. If you wondering where the hell this guy came from, if you remember, he popped up during COVID on Fight Island. He fought, it was like 2 times in 10 days or 3 times in 12 days or something like that. Absolutely sparked people early. He's like a legend, right? Everybody talks about his work ethic, sleeps on the gym floor. This guy's work ethic is insane. He can do anything to anybody at any time. And then in the octagon, he mostly does that. Then he fought Gilbert Burns. It's like, well, this guy got tired. He gassed a little bit. Then he's had random health issue after random health issue. So it's an interesting situation because he did beat Kamaru Usman in his last fight, the longtime welterweight king. And he beat the piss out of that guy in the first round. Wasn't even close. Then he quickly faded. And Khamzat was the one who had a full camp. A full camp. So it's an interesting situation where all of a sudden, how good is Khamzat Chimaev? Is Khamzat Chimaev a guy that we can count on? A guy that is going to be a next big thing? Or is he a guy that's got a ton of hype and he has his first real test here and he's going to fail? And we're going to find out. I do think he passes the test. Robert Whittaker might be one of the most liked fighters in UFC history. I love the guy. I tried the name. Did you know I tried the name Joey? I tried to name him Knuckles because he's an Australian Labradoodle. I did. Tiff wouldn't let me. But I just don't think it's going to be enough. We watched Robert Whittaker get bullied, pushed around, bodied by Dricus du Plessis. Khamzat's going to do more of the same. He's going to rip him to the ground, get on top, probably finish him. And I hate to say it because I love Robert Whittaker. Khamzat Chimaev is also in that parlay with Ankalaev. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah, Chimaev's gonna smoke this dude, and I do feel bad for everyone that's betting Robert Whittaker. I get what you're seeing, right? And you're gonna see this in the main event as well. A guy coming off a big knockout, and people are chasing it against a guy that might have some question marks, right? Is he for real, undefeated, all this type of stuff? It's a very similar situations, and there's a lot of Robert Whittaker love this week. If you watch Chimaev, and people talk about the Gilbert Burns fight, okay, he didn't really wrestle Gilbert Burns like he normally wrestles people. He doesn't fight Gilbert Burns. He was kind of fucking around that entire fight. His corner screaming, you gotta wrestle, you gotta wrestle. And he's like, nah, I'm just gonna fucking go to war with this guy. Still won the fight. Right? He didn't even do what he was supposed to do, still found a way to win that fight. And people will be like, oh, he didn't wrestle because he was scared of the jiu-jitsu. He's not fucking scared of the fucking jiu-jitsu. If you put him and Gilbert Burns in a fucking wrestling room, he's out wrestling the fucking dog shit out of Gilbert Burns. I don't give a fuck about anything that Gilbert Burns does. He wasn't scared of Gilbert Burns. He just wanted to have a fun fight. He had a fun fight. He ended up winning that fight. Then people are going to try and discredit the Kamaru Usman. Oh, Usman off the couch, bad knees, all this stuff. The shit, you've never seen anybody do anything close to what happened to Kamaru Usman in that first round. The ease at which he was able to get the takedown, the control. And guess what Usman was trying to do that entire first round? Fucking survive. He was tripoding, protecting his neck. All he wanted to do was get out of the first round. He got out of the first round, but he was still in some fucking he was 100% full defense, and he still almost got choked out. He had to dump Chimaev on his fucking head because he almost got choked out still when all he was trying to do is not get choked out. Robert Whittaker is a chinny dude. Chimaev could probably just pressure him, throw some big shots, and knock him down. If not, he's going to be able. It's not like he's not going to be able to take Robert Whittaker down. When he took Usman down, he completely flattened this dude out, almost choked him out. That's one of the best wrestlers the UFC has ever seen. Robert Whittaker is going to get taken down in the opening minute. He's going to get his back taken. I don't believe he's going to have the just survive game plan that Usman had. He's probably going to try to get back to his feet. And when you try to get back to your feet, when you try to get somebody off you, that's when you make mistakes. He's either going to get flattened out and TKO'd, or he's going to get fucking submitted inside of 3 minutes of this fight. Chimaev wins.
Yeah, I mean, we're on the same, and it sucks because I do love Robert Whittaker, and if he pulls it off, we'll all be cheering and screaming, and it'll be a happy day. But
when your whole game plan is just hope to fucking survive, that's not a game plan.
This is 5 rounds. We haven't mentioned that yet. This is a 5 round. It won't matter.
Minutes.
Yeah, it won't matter. It won't matter. Now, if somehow
what
Whittaker
happens if he survives? What happens if he fucking doesn't?
Now, if Usman had 2 extra rounds to work with, Usman probably was going to win that fight. But again, to Jacob's point,
and he was lucky to survive.
Yeah, it is crazy he got out of that first round. That was nuts. But either way, unfortunately, Khamzat Chimaev wins this fight. Now,
Robert will weather the storm. He doesn't weather storms very well.
The only reason he was able to weather the Paulo Costa storm is because there was like 4 seconds left. That's it. If there was a minute left,
doesn't weather storms very well at all. If you guys know, and
I had
everyone
Robert
that tried
Whittaker,
to take that Ikram thing. Ikram fucking is not Chimaev.
No, and it wasn't. Yeah, correct. It should be. Would love to see it. Probably doesn't happen. Robert Whittaker
better get him early, says Joel. He will.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be, Dricus du Plessis bullied him, pushed him around, and I had Robert Whittaker in my safety parlay against Dricus. I was like, Dricus is sloppy. He's not as good. Robert's just so much better. All of those things are true, and he still got pushed around, bullied, taken down like it was no big deal,
just like that,
and just beat him.
He DDP literally just kind of grabbed him and leaned on him, and Robert Whittaker, fell over onto his back and started eating elbows from fucking DDP, who just accidentally fell in that position. Now you have Chimaev trying to actively get to that position. Good fucking luck.
If I knew this guy was healthy and would stay healthy and was fighting when he was supposed to fight, I would be rooting for him because let's see how good this guy is. The problem is if he beats Robert Whittaker and then doesn't fight for another year and has this issue and that's when it tries to sell his crypto again. That's when it gets annoying. But we're all pretty squarely on the Chimaev side. $8,700 in DraftKings Fantasy seems like a deal to me. If you do want to check out the picks, the bets, the round line leans, the safety parlay, the artificial intelligence, and everything else, you could do so now. WeWantPicks.com. Click Become a Member. At the top, it's only $10 for an entire
And people
month.
will want to say, too, they want to bring up the Yoel. Oh, well, he fought Yoel.
He doesn't wrestle.
Really take him
Yoel
down.
doesn't wrestle.
He tried a couple times, but that is not the Yoel is an Olympic wrestler, and he is either he's going to wrestle or he's going to strike. And a lot of times he just strikes. He doesn't really set up shots. Chimaev is a different level guy. I don't know if you saw the clip of him
training with an Olympian.
Yeah, and just fucking dog walking the dude. Dude, is crazy how good
he was winning scrambles against an Olympian, which was pretty crazy to see for sure. And that was straight wrestling. They used the wall, but it was straight wrestling.
It's crazy. It's crazy how good
I did see those clips. I was like, holy shit. Next up, at UFC 308, we have the main event of the evening. We have Ilia Topuria defending his belt for the very first time against everybody's favorite fighter, Max Holloway. Ilia Topuria, 15-0, undefeated in his career. He has 13 stoppages, taking on the current BMF champion of the world, 26-7 Max Holloway, 4-1 in his last 5. And he's coming off the BMF title win at UFC 300. The BMF belt is not up for grabs, which is funny. That is a funny concept that Max Holloway has a belt and it's not up for grabs. It's a belt that doesn't even have a weight class and it's not up for grabs here. But either way, I'm cool with it because no matter what happens here, we get to see Max Holloway fight again and defend that belt. We got Ilia Topuria. This guy, I've been very high on Ilia for many, many years. Ever since he beat the absolute shit out of Jacob's boy Ryan Hall. I noticed no hat today. It's odd choice to not wear the Ryan Hall hat in honor
Well, I mean, right,
what Ilya did.
Broke his hand in the first round. I don't know what you're supposed to do in that situation. He tried his best.
He did try his best when he did this, when he was standing like this and had those kicks and then fell over. He did try his best. Anyway, Ilia Topuria, phenomenal. He's a Georgian wrestler, Marab Georgian, and a wrestler. He's a Georgian wrestler whose hands have gotten so good over time, he just uses his slick boxing for the most part. He comes forward with no set game plan, just follows the flow of the fight. If he needs to wrestle, he'll wrestle. If he needs to strike, he'll strike. He's got power, he's got speed, he's got clean technique, and multiple paths to victory. He has only looked like a human being one single time, and that was in the Jai Herbert fight, where Jai Herbert cracked him. And he was in a way. But he shot a half a takedown, survived, got his wits about him, and then flatlined Jai Herbert in one of the most just straight up and down knockdowns you're ever going to see. He's taking on Max Holloway, tried and true Max Holloway. I think the best underdog lock of the week edit that Jacob ever did was the Max Holloway one. I think the song really helped that clip. But he lived up to it. Max Holloway went out there in a fight that a lot of people were like, dealing with Justin's power is going to be a little tricky. It didn't matter at all. He just pot shot it his way, just touched him up, moved, touched him up, moved, invented the point to the ground, let it go, and got a last-second knockout in an all-time fight and an all-time finish. Max Holloway has every meaningful statistic as far as significant strikes are concerned. He's a very good striker. He's a very durable guy. He has an 84% takedown defense. He has an entire career of championship fights. He was the king at 145 pounds before Volkanovski took over. Volkanovski just lost, and Ilya is the current king. I think he remains the king on Saturday night. I just think he's a little too fast. As good and durable as Max is, I think Ilya is just too fast, too slick, too well-rounded. We can't forget how Max Holloway lost to Volk. When he lost to Volk, it was just speed, volume, and mixing up shots and strikes. And that's exactly what Ilia Topuria can do. Obviously, first 5-round fight, or at least first fight that might go 5 rounds. He has a 15-fight career with 13 stoppages, so he's only been to a decision a few times. I have no reason to think his cardio is a problem, but we don't really know. I'm going to pick Ilia. I'll be rooting for Max. I imagine most people will as well. What do you think, Jakey boy?
Yeah. And Angelo, this, I feel bad because damn it, Angelo. I blame myself here. I do blame myself because there's a lot of people. You're going to see it in the Discord. You're going to see it in this chat. You're going to see it in the comments. You're going to see it everywhere. Twitter, whatever it is. A lot of people are on Max. A lot of people like Max. I blame myself because I try to tell people that Max Holloway, as an underdog, as my lock of the week, was going to smoke Justin Gaethje. It's exactly what he did. It wasn't some lucky last-second knockout. He beat that dude from time. Bell to fucking bell. Was outboxed that guy. And now people are trying to take that and put it in this. Just like we talked about last fight. They try to take that Robert Whittaker Ikram knockout and they're trying to translate and put it onto Chimaev. They're trying to say, well, he handled the power in the boxing and striking of a 155 hard hitter, Justin Gaethje. He can handle Ilya. It's fucking different. It is way fucking different. If you want to look at anything, look at Max Holloway against Dustin Poirier. And Dustin Poirier is a really good boxer, just like Ilya. Has probably the same or just a little bit more power than a guy like Ilya. And Dustin, that was a closer fight than people remember, but Dustin was landing some really heavy shots and was able to outbox Max in that fight. The difference, I would say, is Ilya is probably a lot faster than Dustin Poirier. He probably has almost the exact same power, but has even more speed than a guy, Dustin Poirier, who was landing some really heavy shots on Max Holloway. Max Holloway is a fantastic boxer. Max Holloway is tough as shit. Max Holloway is a 5-round guy, and if this does extend, he probably can take over in those fights. Max Holloway also gets fucking hit. In what is known as one of the best boxing performances in UFC history, his fight versus Calvin Kattar, he also absorbed over 100 strikes in that fight. He gets hit by anybody and everybody. If you're getting hit by Ilia Topuria, you're going to get fucking put out. I do believe Ilya, when he says, I'm going to go to the middle, point to the center and say, we're not going to wait till the last 10 seconds of this fight. Let's fucking go right now. And I believe that Max is going to engage as well. And I believe that this fight could be over in the first 30 seconds. Ilya smokes and knocks out this guy. I said last year, even before Max was my lock of the week, everything. That if Max was ever going to get put out, because remember, just because you have never been knocked out, just because you have never been finished, doesn't mean you cannot get finished. We are starting to see a little bit of that little crack in the armor against Justin Gaethje. He wasn't scored as a knockdown, but you saw him get hurt. He's absorbed 2,223 significant strikes in his career up to this point, the most by far in UFC history. I believe the cut back down to 145 is not going to do him well for his brain against the power of Ilia Topuria. Ilia is going to be faster. He's going to be more powerful. He's going to be the better wrestler, the better grappler. If you want to, again, game plan and hope that he's going to get tired, that's not a fucking game plan. I believe Max is going to have to bring in something that he's never shown before. What that is, I don't know. Maybe a different stance, maybe a kick-heavy game, something different to throw off Ilia, because if it's the same Max that comes in, the hittable guy, he can't go toe-for-toe with Ilia. I'm all over Ilia here.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, you'll be rooting for Max, right? I think we'll all be rooting for him.
I'll be rooting for Ilia because I got a fucking lot of money in Ilia.
All right, fine. Yeah, the money changed it, I guess. But, I mean, a Max upset would be another all-time moment for Max Holloway, but to Jacob's point, Ilia's just a little too fast, a little too well-rounded.
Dude, you can't. Oh, you want to give a king? Max has never been knocked out. He's never been knocked out. You think Ilia?
Yup.
And also, I was wrong before I said we haven't seen Ilia 25 minutes. I forgot about the 25 minutes where he just beat the fucking shit out of Josh Emmett, and Josh Emmett's face was a mangled, destroyed mess, and Ilia didn't really slow down there. This is a great main event. I am looking forward to this fight. This fight matters for the division. This fight matters for the fans. This is a great pay-per-view main event, especially for the little guys. I'm looking forward to every bit of this fight, and I just hope it's exciting.
Here it is, Trajan. Isn't this the same thought everyone had about Gaethje? Laugh my ass off. He hits too hard. He is 10 times the striker of Justin Gaethje, and Justin Gaethje almost put this dude out.
Yeah, Justin Gaethje.
It's not the same fucking fight, dude.
They do say that Max Holloway, I don't think it was officially a knockdown.
He knows he got knocked down, though.
Yeah,
He was like, yeah, it was, thank God they didn't score it because I got knocked down.
Yeah. So, either way, we are both on the same side here. $8,800 in DraftKings Fantasy. It's either going to be early problem or a long war. I am going with long war. And I think Ilia's just going to be too fast.
He
and
said
that
he's
speed will
pointing
just
to the center. You think they're going to do that? I think they're going to do it.
Max was like, I'm the BMF champ, not the DMF. It's not the dumbest motherfucker. It's the baddest motherfucker. I'm not doing that at the beginning of a fight.
I guarantee if Ilia goes up there and does that, I guarantee Max. You think Max is going to back down? No, his ego. He's going to see Ilia do it. I guarantee. You think Ilya's going to say that and not do that? Ilya's a guy that if he says something, he's going to fucking do it. He's going to walk to the middle. He's going to point down, and Max is going to have a hard fucking decision to make. Am I going to do this for my ego, or am I going to back out? If he backs out, it's a smart play, but I don't think he's going to do it.
It will be interesting. We have a question from Zach McDonald. What's the $8,800 in DraftKings Fantasy? Well, it's DraftKings Fantasy. It's not gambling. It's daily fantasy. Think a fantasy football team where you draft your players. In this case, you have a salary of $50,000. You have to draft 6 fighters. Every fighter has a different price point. You then compete with that lineup of 6 fighters against other people throughout the world. And whoever's fighters score the most points, you make a bunch of money. And we help you do that because on our website, we have a whole suite of tools and insight and information that will help you build that lineup and guide you. We even have a tool called the Optimizer that will build the lineup for you. You can check all those tools out now, not just for DraftKings, but the bets and everything else as well. At WeWantPicks.com, just click Become a Member at the top. It's only $10 for an entire month. What the hell were you just trying? Who's holding a horse? Who was that? It was blurry.
I know. What's your favorite animal?
I like big cats. I'm a tiger.
What?
Dude, nothing cooler than a massive cat that still purrs and is wildly athletic.
Big Tiger King, huh? You would consider yourself a Tiger King? You getting dressed up Tiger Kings for Halloween? What are you going to be for Halloween?
They brought me a Prince Charming costume because the girls are all doing... They're going to be red from Descendants. And I guess I'm Prince Charming. I don't really even need a costume, frankly. Just handsome Ange. Doing handsome Ange things. Listen, let's get to this promo. Here's the 4 cards you're going to get for that $10 at WeWantPicks.com. Here's some of the tools you unlock: the data analyzer, the line movement tracker, the prop hunter, the DraftKings optimizer, and Artie Baby giving you his PFL, his Dana White Contender Series, even though this season's already over, his Bellator, all the regional shows, picks, bets, and breakdowns, and the artificial intelligence as well. And here's that $50 promo. Jakey, you got any last words for the people at 2 hours and 18 minutes?
Nope, but I think Lock of the Week might be delayed this week. We'll see.
We will see. We do have a quick question. Danny Viking, do you do FanDuel? Yeah, everything we do for DraftKings, we do for FanDuel except the optimizer. The optimizer's for DraftKings, but for FanDuel, you're going to get ownership projections, scoring projections. In that, we have what we call a FanDuel cheat sheet. It'll give you all those projections. It'll also tell you which fighters should be in which types of lineups. So, yes, FanDuel is included in that wonderful package.
I just hope they have fun.
The fighters or us at Cosm?
No, I think the fighters. I think he just would like both fighters to have fun.
I don't know if they will, but either way, guys, we flexed up to 900 people watching live.
Like the stream if you haven't
night.
already. If you're still watching, please.
So we appreciate you all very, very much. Genuinely, whole long week of additional content coming your way. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you on the next one. Catch you on the flip.